Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek bonus round for Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi, a Spoilercast. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Mike Siniti.
What's up?
In an incredibly dark room. Corey Feinsod.
May the Force be with you.
And Tony Korkanakis.
Tried and true.
You're nothing. You came from nothing.
Forget the past. Kill the past. Kill it if you need to. Mike, you're in an incredibly dark room. It's like we see kyloren and Rey talking.
Just take your shirt off, dude. Take it off.
This is my feelings about the movie. But no, also, it's this or a light shining right in the camera. So
yeah, it's fine. We can see you fine. So if viewers, if you have an issue with Mike's quality, email us, podcast@allyoucangeek.net, and let us know.
Yeah, definitely better
tell
than
me
it
about
was
it
before.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, again, this is a spoiler cast for The Last Jedi. So if you have not seen this yet, I would recommend not
listening. Don't listen to
or
this
viewing
yet.
this.
Listen.
You should go see it. It is worth
I mean, listen to it, just not right now.
Yeah.
Come back.
I mean, it's
Definitely
worth seeing. Go see it in the theaters if you haven't seen it, because I need to win a bet against Mike.
Nah, you don't need to see it. It's all right.
I'm a little worried about this bet, but we'll get into that in the actual podcast. So this is the spoiler cast. Once again, last warning, we are getting into spoilers here. Okay. Now, guys.
Well, Jim and I, we made it to this opening without seeing any trailers.
We did.
Reading up on anything or reviews, nothing. So I was lucky enough I didn't get spoiled beforehand, accidentally.
Yeah, so
like some other people last time.
It was pretty amazing that excuse me, while I have
look at that. Wow.
an alcoholic beverage during this
Nice.
spoiler cast. So it's one of those weeks. We had Corey and I, if you've been following the podcast, you know that him and I have not watched a single tidbit of the trailer for this. I have seen, when I realized it's the trailer, I stopped watching. So I have seen Rey put her hand on a rock 500 times, which happens in this movie apparently. But that's all I've ever seen of these trailers. And somebody looking luminally, I think it was Hux actually, or maybe it was, actually no, it wasn't. It was Kylo Ren looking over the starships just before Rey talks to him. So I had two rules going into this movie. Two rules. One, they could not kill Luke Skywalker. And two...
Rules? Like what?
Two things I really wanted not to
They're
happen.
more like hopes.
That's not rules. Those aren't rules.
For me,
Jim,
Those are hopes and wants and dreams.
Yes.
I will acknowledge that. Those are hopes and wants and dreams.
Yeah. So
But they could be rules for the success for himself. He could say, these are my rules to make this sure this is a good movie. I mean, you could make your own rules out, I guess.
yeah.
I guess. I mean, it just seems
that's
weird to
clearly
apply
what
rules to this
That's
movie
clearly
and
what this
not
director has done, by the way.
other movies that are, in my opinion, questionable in quality.
Just tying this in to Rian Johnson, the director.
It is Ryan.
Ryan?
It is Ryan.
Yeah.
He basically
I
has
think I've heard
done
him
this
say that.
already. So he's gone by his own rules. So, I want to get into this movie. Let's start off with the beginning of it. We have to have a space battle because it's Star Wars. We get the opening scroll, and we have a space battle immediately, which is a
An
great
opening
space
scroll is really, it sounds very familiar.
battle. Yeah. So, yes, I
To
was
start off,
worried.
that was that set a tone for me. I was like, uh-oh, what are we getting here?
I was worried. Again, my other rule was, not only about Luke, but my other rule was, do not make another clone of Empire. Yes, my rule. For me, these are my own. I said again,
Yeah, well, don't
my
make
rules.
Episode 4, 5,
Expectations, I think,
yes.
is a better word than rule.
Well, I think
Sure.
the rule works fine for Jim.
Sure.
Those are his rules for himself.
For liking
Okay.
this movie. And again, I'm not going to say that I dislike this movie either, because I've actually seen it twice already, and I think I can safely say that it's a very good movie, but I have a lot of gripes with it. So,
It's probably the best looking Star Wars film, in my
I
opinion.
definitely like the fresh style of look for it. I definitely like that aspect of it. And we get that right away with this opening sequence with the space battle. I think it was really cool. We had a dreadnought, a new kind of spacecraft show up. We get the initial purpose of this movie, which is learning from your failures. in Poe Dameron trying to attack this dreadnought and take it down and like
He
destroying.
did have an
Did he
interesting
learn anything in this
storyline.
movie?
I think he had the
He
most,
learned.
other than
No.
Kylo Ren, I think he had the most
Wow.
Poe actually had the
character
most growth.
development.
Yeah, he had the most growth of a character in this movie. I feel like the other characters kind of just. Do you think Kylo Ren grew more?
Kylo did
Kylo
change
Ren.
more. I don't know if he grew.
I don't think
I
so
don't.
at all.
I think as far as development goes, yes. Not growth, maybe. But as
Development?
far as,
Yeah, okay.
I
You're
didn't
right.
say growth at
Because
all.
he's the supreme leader now. He
No,
has
I would say he grew. I mean, I'm not saying
I
it was a
think he's the
positive
same-
growth, but he
I think
grew.
it's-
He
he's the
knew what he
same-
wanted to do.
But he's the same as
You
what
know
he
what
was
he
when
is now.
Force
No,
Awakens.
see, that's the thing is he's not though, because before he was conflicted, and it was all over his face.
Well, we
You're
saw-
not conflicted?
He is not conflicted now.
Not anymore. He's
Not
not
anymore.
conflicted.
It seems pretty definitive that he's sort of done. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
over
see
for
He's
him.
any
fully
confliction.
embraced this.
In
And
this
even
movie,
Snoke says it.
He failed to shoot his mom. And
Right,
then-
that was
At
before.
not at the end of the movie. When
That
Luke
was in the
says
very
to
beginning.
him, like at the very end, if you strike me down, you're in for a world of hurt, and he still goes for it.
Okay. All right.
I don't see confliction there, and then Snoke says it too.
He didn't
Snoke
hesitate.
says he sees his future.
All
He
right.
sees him
All right. So
cutting
we
down
have,
his
we have
enemies.
this
so.
opening sequence of the dreadnought. By the way, I really like the commander on that dreadnought. The guy who's like, Hux is an idiot. You're basically saying this the entire time. Hux is an idiot. We need to do it. Where are the fighters? We're allowing the spacecraft to get in here, and I did like that. But
Well,
before
I'll
that-
say this. Huck's number one thing from Force Awakens undermined immediately. Check that
Well-
off. First one.
before that, we have something new to Star Wars, which is Guardians of the Galaxy level humor.
I wouldn't say new Star Wars. Like the whole
I think
sequence
it
felt
was-
very much like George Lucas to me.
Wait, that feels like Star Wars to you? No, I disagree with
I
you.
said
100%.
George Lucas.
I disagree
I didn't say
with you.
Star Wars.
I disagree with
It was
you. Give me an
corny.
example of
and
that
dumb.
happening in the other movies.
Now this is pod racing.
No. That's not what. I'll hold.
not the
I'll continue
same
to
as, like,
hold.
an
General Hux,
entire,
I'm trying to
just
tell
like-
General
That's
Hux.
like when Jar Jar brings he's like trying to pick up those balls and throw them at the droids. Like, what am I doing? Oh no, okay, like, I'm so stupid. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I'll hold for you. Okay, are you there? Hello. It's like, are we in a Verizon commercial?
How about when Han
Dumb.
Solo was a stormtrooper and was talking to another stormtrooper through the intercom system in A New Hope? He's like, yeah,
Everything's
this is
fine
blah
here.
blah
We're all
blah.
fine
Everything's
here.
fine.
How
We're
are
all
you?"
fine here.
But that was fine. That was like a quick
It was-
quib. That was a line.
I mean, it felt very much like a George Lucas thing.
I did not get
No,
that
that,
vibe.
that was different.
I don't know where you got
think
Guardians, because to me that felt flat. And
I
I
think
was
that
like,
was Disney vibe.
no.
I got Disney
Guardians
vibe with
did
that.
it a lot better than.
I'm not saying they didn't do it better. I'm just saying that was my initial look at them like, are we in for this kind of a movie?
I
And
mean,
we kind of
again, it's just like, we're just going to make fun of Hux right off the start. Because
They really turned him into
he was
comic
played.
relief.
He was played seriously, mostly in The Force Awakens.
He just
Some
became
people
a very
just looked at the guy and were
over-the-top
like, this guy.
Disney animated villain to me.
And now, because of that, now he's just the comic relief that gets crapped on the entire movie.
He's like a very video gamey, over the top villain, I think.
Okay,
in this
so
movie.
following that sequence after the dreadnought gets blown up, we have the death of the one half of the moon, the bombers.
Sisters.
We have an important lesson of Poe
yeah.
about learning about destroying most.
Did
of the
anyone
fleet.
else think that they would be like lovers instead? Like, because who has like a half of a moon with like a sibling like that? I thought that was kind of weird.
No, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Sisters. I figure it was either her
It
husband or
didn't
her
seem
sister.
like a
That's what I
sister
thought.
vibe.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
way
I got
that
that
whole
vibe
thing
too,
was
Corey.
set up.
But
to me,
like,
but
just knowing, like, if you knew the source, like the posters and everything, you see like this Asian chick. I'm like, well, there's this Asian chick in the beginning. And I see a poster with another Asian chick. I'm gonna assume that these are related somehow.
Yeah. So then we move to Octu, which is the island that Luke is on, or the planet with an island that Luke is on.
Oh, by the way, there was 129 sets built for this movie.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they
Where?
were all. There were most of the interiors, I suppose.
All the interior- I mean, they
ship.
try to do as much
Because there-
practical as they
There
could.
was not
And
a
this-
lot of locations,
I'm
really.
about to open up our
Apparently,
Discord
George
channel so I
Lucas
can
was so-
bring up all my discrepancies with this movie, my gripes.
Okay, anyway, we're on Luke's island here. Like,
Luke's island. We get the immediate continuation of Luke meets Rey for the first.
Oh, hold on. We're skipping over like what you said. Like you were really dismissing the whole thing with Poe. Like
wasn't
because when he comes
dismissing it.
back, well, you're kind of brushing over it, I think, and like you're
It's
doing
the
a
first lesson.
discredit to the. Right. But
I didn't discredit.
we
it
didn't
at
even
all.
talk about what happened. You didn't mention what happened.
I said, I guess I did. I said, like, 3/4 of the fleet dies in this
Right.
run. I said
Right,
that.
but what was the repercussion? He comes back and Leia physically slaps him and says, "You're demoted."
Oh. I didn't know
Says, "You're
that was a
demoted,"
big,
and she
but
goes,
that
"What am I-"
clearly wasn't a big problem in this movie.
It wasn't like a. You could argue that it could have been a problem
I mean,
later
it's part
on.
of his
It was a
character
pretty. It
development
was
in
like
this movie.
1/3 of the plot was this sort of pseudo political jockeying of
1/3 of this plot was a waste.
No, this isn't the part that you're even talking about. I'm talking about this pseudo political jockeying about who's in charge, what should they do while they're running away this whole time, and is Poe
The whole
right?
lesson
Is
she
he
was-
wrong?
Right, but the whole lesson she was trying to impart upon him was that you can't just hop into an X-wing and blow something up and expect that to solve your problems. And that, just because, we took out a
The
dreadnought.
very next sequence with him, it's permission to hop into an X-Wing and blow things up. She said, sure.
Sure, that's the time for it.
Yeah, well,
Immediately neglected, going against, contradicting the point of the movie. And then happens later in the movie,
Point.
for the
That
record.
wasn't not
For the
necessarily
record.
That
happens
because I'm
later
not
with a...
as high on this movie as you are, Tony. But I have to agree with Tony here is that
That happens literally...
the repercussions of what he did there and the fact that he disobeyed direct orders is a lot different than hey, now we need you to go shoot stuff because that's part of your job. This is the time to do it. There is a difference there.
There's a time to do things.
basically,
and there's times not.
what they
That's the
established
lessons.
is Poe shouldn't be allowed to think for himself because he's too dumb.
The lessons I got here is if the young people were not impulsive, things would be fine.
I didn't get that
You
at
didn't
all.
get this at all? So
I
if,
just
if
the lesson
Poe
I
didn't
got from
send
this movie is
Finn
everyone over
and
50
Rose
should
on
be
this
dead.
mission...
Well, this is before we know
I'm
what's
not
going
getting
on
to this
here.
yet. I'm just saying the lessons of this movie, Mike. You didn't get these lessons?
That's the lesson of the movie is everyone over 50 should be dead.
No, yes. But my point is the fact that if the young, impulsive people didn't do what they would just... If they listened to their elders, then things would be fine.
Except the young impulsive person had to convince
no, I would
a
argue
very
that.
notable elder
How are you gonna argue that,
totally
Tony?
change what he was doing.
I want to know
do
how you're going to...
something
Go ahead.
good.
I would like to hear how you're going to argue it, please.
Because the whole arc of Rey lecturing
Rey and
Luke,
yeah. Luke didn't.
Luke was trying to be like, yo, you don't know what you're doing, you blah, 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 it's going to fail, this, that, and the other thing. And Rey's like, nope, I got to still have hope. I got to still believe this, that, and the other thing.
Ray is
all right,
the sign of hope in this movie without a doubt. I'm not going to argue Ray in this movie. Ray
and
had
if
a
she had
great part in
listened
this
to
movie.
Luke,
She
she
did.
probably just would have stayed
did.
on that fucking island.
There's
and
a
just
lot of
no-
waste of
No, she
other
would've
people in
left.
this movie, though.
Actually, maybe if she listened to Luke, she would have done everything herself because she probably would have been able to.
So, let's go to the Octu with the island. You get Luke holding the lightsaber finally. You get that whole sequence where he takes it and then he tosses it over his shoulder.
Yep.
and
Force
walks.
Awakens aspect number 2 tossed out the window.
There's a lot of toss out the window for Force Awakens.
tossed in the,
Tossed
over the shoulder.
tossed over the shoulder.
Uh,
And that right there is like perfect symbolism for this entire movie.
Sure.
Take it,
Okay.
throw it behind you.
Okay. I guess that is what they're going for in this movie.
It is 100% what they're going for.
So,
Even from the movie from 2 years ago. Okay.
this whole movie is, undoing what
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams has done.
It's a shame. Too bad he's going to do it. It's going to be him
He's
again
going to
later.
step in. He's going to do
I
it again.
think he'll do much better with a trilogy that he can start from scratch.
I'm
My
not
opinion.
disagreeing with you, Corey, at all.
Oh,
I
I'm
think I said
not.
that before.
I didn't say anybody would.
Like,
I just-
absolutely. I think I'd love to see, because I'm about to hate on this movie a lot during this podcast. I'm not going to lie here. But I didn't hate
I thought
the
I
movie.
was the lowest one on this movie. It's like Jim's taking all.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of gripes. I'm the biggest Star Wars fan on this podcast. There's no question. Is anybody going to dispute this?
You have bought the most figures.
I have also read the most books.
I've read
Really? Have you read
almost all of
Truce of
them.
Bakura? Have you
I
read
don't-
The Courtship of Princess Leia?
Oh my God! Can we not have a dick measuring contest? Let's just
Just saying,
let's just see the
I've
point
read
and move on with this.
The Legend.
Let's give it to Jim for now.
Wait.
Go ahead, Jim. You're the biggest Star Wars fan, and go on.
So for me, watching this movie, it was, for the first time watching this movie, it was a big slap in the face.
Oh no! Why?
Because they undid... First of all, I had many questions from The Force Awakens that was brought in. Now, everybody slammed that movie for being a New Hope
No.
clone.
Everyone didn't slam. People generally like that movie,
I
but there
like
was
that
a
movie.
vocal
I like that
minority
movie.
that was the only criticism
I
about
like that
it.
movie. The
Most people
criticism
seem
it
to
is
like
a
that
New
movie.
Hope, beat for beat, right? But they did introduce some new things into that movie. And all of those things in this movie have been undone.
What do you mean by it's been undone?
Like,
Elaborate
let's
on
cut
it.
this, cut this, and that's basically what we get. In this
What's
movie.
being cut? What was being cut?
Ray's parents.
Everything that it looked like was
That
going to be
wasn't cut.
significant
That was
in the first.
resolved. There's a difference between being cut and being resolved. Just because it was resolved and you didn't like it or you didn't agree with it doesn't mean that it was cut or undone.
Okay, like Tony, I'm not going to disagree with you that where there's going to be things I'm not going to like, right? I get it.
Right.
I get it.
I understand that.
Absolutely.
No,
but
I would say
and I don't even
everything
hate
that was.
I don't even hate Ray's parents. Like I like this idea. However, they hyped it up so fucking much in The Force Awakens it doesn't flow.
Who hyped it up?
They
Who
even did
hyped
it
it?
within
It's a
this very
mystery.
movie. The very movie, the two silhouettes forming into one. She's
It's
not
the
like
dark
they're
side to
like,
figure out
man,
this great
who are
mystery.
Ray's parents? Bet on who's Ray's parents are going to be. Guess. Do our official Twitter poll. Blah blah blah. It's not like that.
So we have
It's
a
because
I think
it's
the
a natural thing.
fans were obviously very curious as to
Right.
who's.
Fans
We have a
did it,
brand
and they
new-
also did
we
it
also have a
within
brand
this
new
very
villain.
movie.
And before this movie came out, they said, "Don't get your hopes up. Her parents are not that significant."
well, and we have a brand new villain, which for this universe and the way things felt, shook with the Emperor and everything. I wanted to know more about who this villain was, and that was
Where he
thrown
came
out.
from? What were his motivations?
Why was
How
that
he
thrown
so
out?
strong?
Again, why was that thrown out? Why
Because
was that
he's
thrown
fucking
out?
dead.
Because for the third
His
movie, he's
storyline
irrelevant.
was
All right,
resolved.
Tony, you tell me who he was.
I don't care who he was. He was
Why?
some
That's the point.
generic
I do.
villain,
He's done.
and
But
he's
that's
dead.
the point.
Yeah. So
What does
then
it matter?
everything,
Because I do.
everything that was
Why?
built up in
That
the
was a
Force
question
Awakens,
asked in The Force Awakens.
Why?
everything that was built
All we
up
have
in
to
the-
know is that he turned Kylo. That's it. That is all we need to know.
He was
Why?
a looming force in the universe. Because Han Solo knew who he was, Leia knew who he was, and Luke knew who he was, and he corrupted
Great.
Kylo Ren.
So let's just take
It wasn't
them
even
by their
stated in
word.
this
He was a bad
movie.
person.
Sure, but I want to know how he rose to power in this universe.
Did you question the Emperor?
No,
back
I
in A New
didn't.
Hope?
No, I
Did you
didn't.
question the Emperor?
No,
You
I didn't. But that's because that movie was going on when this guy was alive, apparently, and rising to power. But how did he do that while the Emperor was around?
Uh-huh. Okay.
That's why.
Come on.
And we did get three
I would
whole
like to
movies
know who
going
Snoke
into the
was.
Thank
backstory
you,
of
Corey.
the Emperor, by the way, just so we could get that answered.
Back to the movie. We meet Luke Skywalker.
I mean, I don't understand why you want to know if the point of the story was to kill him off. Like, knowing more about a story, what would you care about that?
That
Like,
wasn't the point of
what
the
would that
story
do?
originally. Yes, eventually, sure, but you need to know how he rose to power, who he is.
If
at
we
this
needed to
point.
know how he rose to the power, they could have explained that in The Force Awakens. Don't you agree?
No, because he was a very
No,
minor
they
part in
couldn't.
that
They
movie.
couldn't
He had
have
a much
explained
bigger
that
part
in
this
The Force
movie.
Awakens.
No, they had plenty of time in this movie, though.
They
in
built
the
him up
slowest
greatly.
high-speed chase in the history of movies.
No, in The Force Awakens, like I said, everything that looked like it was going to be significant for all three of these movies, or the arc of all three of these movies, most of that was quashed within like the first hour 45 of this movie.
Yeah.
Yep. So it could set up stuff for Episode 9.
What did it set
Episode-
up? I want to
there's
know what
nothing
this
left.
set up.
There's
What did
nothing
this set up?
left.
Tony, what did this set up?
Kylo's the big bad person.
Okay. One
There
thing.
you go.
Absolutely. I'm not
I don't like walk me through this. Like,
You would have a
in your
2.5 hour
wildest
movie with
dreams,
just
in
a
your
villain?
perfect scenario. What would Snoke have been? Like, go ahead. Like, what would have made you
I have
happy?
no idea.
You have no idea. So there you go. Like, if you don't even know what's gonna make you happy, like, how are you really gonna complain about this?
Something is better than
Something
nothing.
is better than nothing, Tony.
I would have liked to see him be Darth Plagueis, personally.
Sure, Tony. I mean, Corey, that's in my mind. I would like to
Or
see
a
that,
take
but,
on that.
yeah, or like, and that's
Somebody
the other thing.
significant in the history of
Is-
Star
is
Wars.
he
I just
actually-
think that they kind
What the
of
hell
like
is General Plagueis?
Darth Plagueis. He's
Darth
He's the one
Plagueis?
that
Who
was
is that?
mentioned in
Darth
the
Sidious
Which
Master.
movie was he in?
He's mentioned
Which
in the
movie was he in?
He was mentioned in
It would be a
Return
cool
of
thing to include the
Jedi
prequels into it.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Did we see him though?
No, he didn't.
No, but
see
that's
him.
the idea.
Oh,
It would
that's
include
weird.
the
We didn't
prequels in
see
this
him.
universe. It would really solidify the prequels.
It would have made it more significant because he would have been somebody. But now he's nobody, so it doesn't matter.
But General Plagueis or Darth Plagueis is nobody anyway. So
No, he was Darth Sidious Master.
But we don't know him as a character, therefore, like, why do you care
But
about
it
him?
would be cool to know.
Well,
who
we
he
do
was.
know him if you.
Why is it cool? I don't understand. Why is it cool? Like,
Because it would be cool to know that this guy
He's a
was
character
that
in the Star Wars universe, Tony, and there are books
Would
that
tie
have,
something together.
Oh, so there's books. So if a book comes out and explains how Snoke rose to power,
By the
you'd
way,
be okay with it.
just for the
I
record,
would.
Tony, there is a universe that was built on this. Just so you know, there is a Star Wars universe that's out there. Just so you know,
Right,
that
and I would argue that most of it is shit.
I'm not going to say whether it's shit or not. There's a Star Wars universe. Whatever you feel about this universe, it exists.
Sure,
So
beyond the movie.
Tying
Beyond
into
the
this universe is the idea of these 7, 8, and 9 movies. Not Rogue One, not the Han Solo movie. Those are side stories. These are direct sequels to that universe. And this is like, fuck it.
I mean, I really think they could have done a better job explaining who Snoke was. Just give us something. They don't give you anything. They don't tell you he's a Sith Lord. They don't tell you he's a former Jedi. They don't tell you anything about him. They could have done something. They didn't have to do much,
The vibe
but they
I
did
got
nothing.
from Snoke, the cool thing about this movie is the vibe I got from Snoke is he was kind of that middle-of-the-road Jedi thing where he's like, I understand the light, I understand the dark balance. He understands the whole thing. But I would like to have known why he gets that. Why does he get that? Like, he mentions the fact that while Kylo Ren becomes more powerful, his equal will become more powerful. And he misassumed that being Luke Skywalker. It's actually Rey. He even says that in the movie. But, like, I want to know why he understands this. How did he come to that conclusion? I want to know why. You know what I mean? If we get a book on this, hey, that's cool, too.
Why? Did you question Master Yoda?
Yeah, well...
Like how he knew everything? Did you question him in the original trilogy? Did you question him in the prequel trilogy? No, you just took it for fact that, hey, this is Master Yoda. He knows what he's talking about.
I think the difference
this
there,
guy came to
Tony,
power, though, Tony.
The difference here is that there was nothing established beforehand. Now there is stuff established, and people have expectations, and that's where I think that the disappointment in the fact that there is nothing given to the fans as far as who this character is. If this was the first movie in this entire series, then fine. Then yeah, I would agree with you. But because it's not, and there is established characters and an established universe, and we know the history of a lot of the things that have happened, then they could have just thrown us something.
Amazing. Everything in that sentence was wrong.
Well, at least you
Sorry,
at least you quoted the movie a few times.
I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I acknowledge the very first thing that you said, that it's fan expectations that leads to disappointment.
This fan expectation, Tony, is what made this universe. It wouldn't
That's why
be around.
we have these movies.
Yeah, it wouldn't be around without these fans.
No, but you can't
but
make a
most
movie
people
for
are
fans.
happy
That's
with
what The Force Awakens was.
I would disagree with you. I'm going to disagree with you, Tony.
Okay, based on what?
I want to see what this fall off is. Once
And
we
your
get these
friends
box
at
office
Rotten
results this
Tomatoes,
week,
the
then we can have a
audience score isn't
conversation.
great.
If the box office results are good, which I don't think they're going to be, then yes, you're right. I disagree with you. I think the box office fall is going to be big. I think it's going to be 60%, and
Well, 60% of 220 is still pretty
that's
good.
a huge drop. It will
Still
not, it will
pretty
not beat Rogue One at that point.
Well, let's get to the movie. We've been arguing a bunch about.
There's a lot to
different
argue
things here.
through
Let's
the
talk
movie.
about this movie here, guys.
Again,
and
I
here coming in, I thought I was the lowest.
did not
Okay,
hate
so
this
you're
movie.
sad and upset that we didn't find out who General Snoke was. Go ahead, or Emperor Snoke was. Go ahead.
For the
Whoever's
record, for those
Supreme
listening,
Leader. You don't even
for
know
those
his
Leader
listening,
Snoke. Whoever. He doesn't give a shit. He
I
doesn't
would
fucking
rate
matter.
this movie
He's dead.
4th out of. For the record, I would
We're
rate this.
not even
4th.
there yet, Jim. Jeez, let's get to
Well,
this.
I'm not gonna say I
Talk
hated
about
this
the
whole
story.
movie because I liked a lot of this movie. I
let's
hated a
get
lot
to
of
it.
the little things of this that just didn't expand it.
Anyway, no, I'm sorry.
Act
We're
two.
actually back on the island with Luke. Luke
Yeah,
just
so
tossed a
throwing
lightsaber.
the toss
and
the
then
lightsaber,
boom,
we get to
boom,
meet Rey, blah, blah,
expectations,
blah.
blah, blah.
He's not going to train her, and then he does train her. But
Just real quick, did anybody think that they were actually going to use the X-wing at some point? I was like, why
Yeah,
show us this
I kinda
X-wing?
did.
if they're
well, I
never
think
gonna...
that was to
guess the
solidify
idea
the fact
was-
that thing has been underwater for like 20 years.
Still,
So
like, I expected her to, like, lift it up a la Luke.
I mean, maybe initially, but he even said like lift rocks, this, that, and the other thing. Like the whole point was he was just so like disinterested in anything that the old Jedi ways had to do with the Force.
Sure. And I think that was the idea.
And as soon as he said that, I was like, okay, Luke actually knows what's up for a change. For a change, he actually knows what's going on. In the
Tony's finally on board with
Tony,
Luke Skywalker.
Tony, did they need to waste time with green milk and fishing?
Well, you got to know how he survived.
Yeah. Otherwise, the expectation. How did Luke survive? How did Luke get his nutrition? Blah blah blah. This other thing.
I love that those things are there.
That's world building, man. You can't in one hand complain that you don't get enough information about characters.
So we get 5 minutes of that, and we get nothing from Snoke. If we had that cut and 5 minutes of Snoke's history, much better.
That's not where there should have been
Luke
cuts.
drinking titty alien milk is more interesting to me than fucking Snoke was.
Wow.
That's because he died before he did anything.
Yes.
Right, I don't give a fuck. I accepted it at face value. I said, all right, he doesn't mean shit. I don't care. I understand. Like, why you're so passionate about this.
The first movie sets it up. He's the spectral.
Yeah, he's a supreme.
He's a mystery.
The bigger fan you are, the bigger disappointment you have with it, Tony. That's
it's not even like being a big. Again, like if you want to argue you're being an old head and like holding on to the trilogy and the old characters, that's one thing. But The Force Awakens is getting crapped on in this movie. It just is.
It is. It is undoing The Force Awakens. Anything
All right,
new
we're on the island. I think they could have done more on the island. Personally, I actually think they should have spent more time with Luke and Rey, just because that was more interesting.
Actual training.
Sure,
Some
that was the actual movie, Corey. That was the actual movie. Is those sequences with Luke and Rey were actually part. That was the movie, because the rest of it was garbage. It was about a bunch of waste of time missions. The rest of it. Introduced a very cool character. For the record,
you're getting ahead of yourself. Let's talk about Luke and Rey.
No, I'm agreeing with Corey.
Stop
in this
getting
situation.
ahead of yourself. You're always trying to jump to the next thing.
I'm agreeing with Corey that it was.
Yes, I think that they could have spent more time there because it was interesting. I would have liked to have seen the conflict in Rey more because that was interesting to me. The pull of the dark side. I did
like how she just jumped in immediately. And he's like, you didn't even
went
resist.
right to the dark side.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves there, but yes, I did like that sequence.
But what's poor Chewbacca just doing nothing, sitting there this whole time.
Well, he bust down the door.
Yeah, I know, but Chewbacca had so little to do, just total afterthought.
Well, his wingman's gone, so
I know. Now
we see the Porgs. What do you guys think of the Porgs?
Very George Lucas.
I don't mind
fine.
the Porgs.
Whatever.
They're better than Ewoks, and they're better than Jar Jar Binks.
Well,
all right, Tony and I have agreed on something. This is it.
They're better than the Jar Jar Binks for sure, because they
I
can't
have no
talk.
problem with the Porgs. I like the Porgs.
They're fine. They got a little too much into everything, but it's all right.
It's the Porgs. I have no problem with the Porgs.
I didn't even know what they were called, so glad you knew.
All right, so then the next sequence after that was Leia's. Oh my god, the worst sequence in the movie.
I didn't mind this.
I mind it. This is the one thing I had a criticism.
Okay, thank God we have a
This is the one thing I had a big.
So
I like the movie, but I'm not saying it's without criticism.
We get
one of my favorite
immortal
parts
Leia.
of the space political bullshit.
Another thing,
running
though, Mike.
away thing.
Another thing, though, Mike, that slapped me in the face. It has then single-handedly undone the rebellion by blowing up the front of that ship and sucking every leadership out of that ship.
I mean, the only one other than her.
But you already had those characters. You already knew about them. You had
Admiral
stories. You
Akbar.
had their background.
So what?
You had them in how many movies? What? They're not allowed to kill their
so
characters?
I have to accept the fact that Disney wants
Is
to
this how you approach The Force Awakens? I don't remember this. They slapped me in the balls. They killed Han Solo.
Yeah, that was the one thing I really didn't like. I was afraid of it. I expected it.
Who the fuck cares?
Everyone's General Admiral Akbar, man.
I'm pretty sure he was a general, actually, in this
Since
movie.
when?
Since The Force Awakens? I'm pretty sure
he's a general.
graduated from that.
Yeah.
Well, he's an admiral because there's alliteration.
He was an admiral in Return of the Jedi, yes.
He's admiral forever because of alliteration.
Oh, okay. All right. So more fan expectations here, not actual facts.
I do think they said Admiral Akbar in the movie, though.
We get a little bit of
I'll fact check myself.
For the record, we get a little bit of humanity in Kylo Ren at this point. When he's first of all, we get some awesome battle sequences where he flies that TIE fighter through the deck, blows up all.
Like I said, it's one of the best looking, and I think has the best action in any Star Wars movie.
Oh no, the action was awesome when Kylo was fucking shit up.
Yeah, it was absolutely. It was really cool.
Like his TIE, whatever the fuck it was called, that looked really badass. One of the things I was TIE fighters, okay, a basic TIE fighter isn't really intimidating. It's a fucking H flying through space, missing things. And this one actually looked pretty badass.
I get the Rogue Squadron mechanics too ingrained in my mind. So I'm like, oh, that's just a TIE fighter. Those are easy to kill. Or you see like a TIE bomber, it's like, ooh, it's a little more. But I kind of missed some of those different letter variations. I wanted to see like at least takes on them more in the space battles. We didn't have too much of that, but it was still okay. I just I didn't have a problem with what happened with Leia. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So you didn't have an issue with the fact that she gets sucked out of the ship, and then
she has a Guardians of the Galaxy moment,
and then she's immortal.
Like, here's the thing: I don't have a problem exploring that Leia is force sensitive or has force powers. I'm totally okay with that.
Sure.
I just thought it looked so.
I thought it looked
terrible.
bad.
Like I was like, oh, like we see her body floating in space. And I'm like, oh man, like there's the other one. There's the one for this movie. And then all of a sudden, you see her eyes, and she's like, and then just like floats through space. Like
Space switches it.
Right.
Switches it.
And I'm just like, is this a dream sequence? Is this Kylo? Like, is she gonna go to Kylo? Is this fucking Gundam? Like, I don't understand right now.
I didn't mind that. I thought that it was because to me the older characters have so few moments to like flex their muscles in this. I liked that happened for her, and
actually, Mike, I get that point because you're right.
I mean, it's a little undercut knowing that somehow she's going to be written out of most of the next movie now.
Well, she has to
like
be.
From
she's gonna be in the scroll. That's it.
And which is unfortunate that she was the survivor of this film.
That you can't control. Let's leave that.
I think they actually even played with that expectation here too. It's like, I guess that's how she's going.
They shot this movie before she passed
I don't
away.
think they would have even bothered with stuff like that.
No, they didn't rewrite this movie, Corey, at all.
I didn't say they wrote it. I just said that you definitely played
that she was
expectation
die
that like because you knew Han Solo was dying.
Yeah.
In the first one, and like, oh well, who's gonna die in this one? You expect someone to die.
Yeah.
And then like, because people say things doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And it's like, I guess this is how she's gonna go. It's interesting. I didn't, I would have been fine with it too.
I really did not expect her to like die in that sequence. I'm like, nah, she's not gonna go out like this. I kind of knew that something along those lines was gonna happen, and I was glad she did.
Back to her, then you knew that she was going back. She was gonna be okay.
Moving on, we get the leadership's gone. We get to meet this new vice admiral, Holdo. Holdo? Yes.
I don't remember that. Oh, her.
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern with purple hair.
Puts in a good performance, but a misplaced performance. Like, I felt like she didn't fit. Did anybody get that vibe?
Well, I mean, she was a rental performance. She's there to be disliked for 90% of her time on screen, then liked so she can leave forever.
Apparently. I mean, she had one of the coolest... I did like that whole death sequence. I definitely liked that death. I thought that was a really cool sequence of this movie. It was a silent sequence, and it was really cool. But we get her introduced, Poe immediately, like, being undermined... then.
Well, I like the thing that they did with Poe is that they take this character that we know from Force Awakens and make him out to be like this hotshot flyboy who doesn't listen to authority. Like, he's gonna be right in the end, even though all these higher up people are supposed to be smarter than him. But of course, his plan's gonna work out and it's gonna be fine, and everybody's gonna love him for it.
I did like that.
I like that they played on that because that's not how it turns out. And it's like, yeah, dude. You need to know your place.
But then
because you just fuck everything up.
The problem with that was you wasted like a third of the movie because it had no purpose.
Well, maybe if he hadn't disobeyed orders in the beginning and was still, I think, a commander, he might have actually had a place, to actually like ask her what her plans were and stuff like that.
Oh, because it was so secretive. She couldn't tell her plans.
Yeah, because who knew if there was a spy on board?
Okay, sure, Corey.
Yeah.
If she had mentioned that, sure. I think that's a grasping thing.
I'm pretty sure if she told him her plan, he would have just acted like he did anyway. I don't really...
No, because once he found out from Leia that they were going to that plan, he's like, this could work. He literally said that. That's his line from the movie.
Yeah, well, it's because he learned all the stuff he learned beforehand.
Well, what he learned was there's a planet there.
He had not learned that yet. He learned that there.
All he learned that there was a planet there.
He learned it there, actually. That's when he learned the lesson.
I mean, the whole time he didn't learn the lesson. He was mutinying.
But that's when he learned the lesson when he was with Leia.
I know when Leia's like, But the lesson wasn't a lesson. It was just that, oh, by the way, there's something we didn't tell you. This is why this makes sense.
Yeah, and she
Like,
didn't
oh.
tell anybody. Nobody knew the plan.
How can you trust? I mean, but how can you trust people who are just not going to obey your orders anyway?
Nobody knew the plan? He had other people mutiny with him.
Yeah, I know. The people that didn't matter.
I don't know. I don't even...
I got the vibe that nobody knew the plan and nobody was shared with it because... Now, you could say spies, but it would have been nice if she had just mentioned that. Like, if she had said, you know, I can't trust anybody else.
I didn't have a problem with that at all because that was fine. And, like, yeah, that guy got demoted. He doesn't belong on the bridge. Like, he doesn't... There's a hierarchy in
There's
commands.
a pecking order, man.
And, like,
even though they're like...
There's like 7 people alive. Pecking order? Are you kidding me?
well, afterwards, he still had about, I don't know, 100 people.
I think they said 100 or so.
Okay, so the next part of this is we have TIE fighters flying around that are blowing the shit out of that ship. Oh, come back. We can't cover you. You need to come back because we can't cover you. That's the point of this whole low-speed chase, we'll call it.
Well, I mean, they're going fast. They're in space. They're probably going fast.
The Empire can't build ships fast enough? The Empire can't?
No, they're too busy working on looking...
They're not the Empire anymore. The Empire would have been done with this shit. They're the New Order. Get that straight, because New Order's nowhere near as cool as the Empire.
Okay, if you want to do it that way, that's okay. That's okay. If you don't want to compare to the Empire, that's fine. But I got the fact that like they have the highest, newest, best technology that money can buy.
I know. I mean, it's really unrealistic. I totally get the criticism.
That's
it's like,
my
you know,
gripe with that
it's like if you made like a giant death space station and just had like one exhaust port that led exactly to the core, and like you just left that open. It's like, man, I can't believe that. Yeah, it took like 30 years for them to make that movie to explain it.
Finally, though, it's been done.
It took 30 years. So just expect a movie in 30 years to explain like the technological reason on why this happened.
Explained to me. I already accept it. It's already been done.
Right.
Thank you, Rogue One.
Or why the Empire was taken out by like teddy bears, like
Ewoks. Never underestimate somebody defending their home.
They were all...
Yeah, I mean rocks and spears and
again.
Just
the 300. I'll go back to the 300.
Mm-hmm. Vietnam. Man. How about Vietnam? That's what it was.
This is Endor. Come
Never
on.
underestimate somebody defending their home.
Dude. Look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I kind of raised my eyebrow. I raised my eyebrow like, okay, I'll buy into this. But like, if you're going to question this and not look at the entire history of the fucking movies and realize you have to accept that kind of shit, like, I don't know what to say.
I do have to say, though, as a moviegoer, you were more skeptical in the modern times of things like this than you were 30, 40 years ago. That's just how it is.
Sure.
Not even in any franchise, just in general.
So we get...
you need to justify things a little more now, I think.
We get a ship that can leave the fleet faster than the fleet to go to some star system to a casino.
So I
didn't really understand exactly how
this is the
they
part
just
where the movie just
popped off
really
and no one bothered to care about them going or how they got there so easily.
So we meet Rose first of all, meeting Finn, which I actually like that sequence. Ray and Finn. I'm not Ray and Finn. Finn and Rose meeting each other in the escape pod thing. I thought that was great. I actually liked Rose in this movie, except for the fact that I didn't like Finn in this movie. So like every time she was on screen, I felt like there was no growth from Finn at all in this movie, and like that kind of countered the whole thing. It was all like, how am I going to help Ray? 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 That was the entire movie for him.
Yeah, sorta, and again,
her character's nothing wrong with her character at all. In fact, she was the one that brought him down to Earth with the casino, and said,
I thought she was kind of boring.
The whole casino part was very much.
Let's accept the casino for being in the movie because it's here. Not that it should be, but it's here. So
here's the thing about the casino. It looked real cool. Like I thought it was an interesting setting.
That was their most Isley.
But then she's just like, "Oh, this is bad because capitalism." More or less.
It was a weird political statement in that movie, sure.
And it's just like, all right, you can be upset about that, I guess. And then it's just like, let's free some horses and not do what we came here to do.
No, okay. I would argue this at this point. Maz is in this movie, which is random that they chose her, but I understand the tie-in for Force Awakens for this. She guided them to that person on purpose to get thrown in jail.
No, you're saying that she guided them to Benicio del Toro, not the one
Yes,
they were looking for.
he was the one that she wanted. Yeah.
Why? Why would you assume that?
Because that's the way she acts in the first, and that's the only tie from The Force Awakens
Wait,
that
wait,
actually
say
works.
that again?
Okay. Maz, what's her name? Maz Kanata. Yeah. So she's very mysterious in the first movie. She always acts like that. She doesn't answer things. She always points people in their direction, right? She always does this. She did this here. She pointed them in the direction of getting thrown in jail and then meeting the right splicer, the hacker, in this movie.
Why was he the right one, though?
Yeah.
I don't know that he was the right one.
That was the one that can do it.
I think the guy that was gambling was actually supposed to be the one. Like,
Nope.
she actually...
That was some loser that had no hacking ability whatsoever. It was.
How do you know
That
this?
was that was
I don't
Justin
know.
How do you
Theroux,
know
or whatever her
this?
name. That's
I know
Jennifer
that.
Aniston's
I
husband.
understand.
Dude.
I know who it was, but I'm saying that it was. You go there,
know.
and that's where you're going to get caught by the police, and that's where you're going to get thrown in jail. Because she's been already mentioned the fact that she understands the Force. She knows she can see the Force. She's not like a Jedi, but she understands the Force, so she can see kind of in the future. She gets it.
No, I can understand where you're coming from because I could see that being the case.
That's what I
but
got from this. And I
don't
saw
think
it twice.
that he was the right person,
I saw
though,
this
because
movie
obviously
twice,
he's not
and both
stable.
times I got the vibe that Benicio del Toro is the guy that she wanted them to meet.
You got the vibe that he was an interesting character, and he was really the only interesting thing about it. I don't know if we'll see him anymore, or not.
We will, without a doubt. I will say my favorite.
He's a little old to continue in this trilogy.
My favorite character from this movie is Benicio del Toro's character, and I have probably slammed him more on our podcasts than ever.
You just say he's ugly.
Oh, he's the ugliest man in the world. But I thought he did a fantastic job in this movie, and he's my favorite character in this movie. I really do. I think he's a great
like his
character.
character.
I thought he nailed this role. I thought it was awesome. I thought his character was great. It was like the...
I don't who needed to have some weird speech impediment thing. I didn't
I
like
liked
that.
it because he was...
But, I mean,
no, it was playing off...
Who were his
Rogue One.
parents? Who were his parents?
No, shut up. So it was playing off of Rogue One, Mike, where like you met the pilot. Remember, I'm the pilot. He was a big engineer, and he was like stuttering. It kind of goes with the fact that like
I really don't remember any characters from Rogue One.
Okay, I get it. Like that's the tie-in from Rogue One.
This movie's better than Rogue One, I will say.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll just throw that out there.
So, like I said, probably fourth for me. But as we're moving through this, where are we here? Benicio del Toro busts him out. They had the big chase with the.
So the thing with the casino, and I got very much the Phantom Menace vibes from this casino sequence.
Yeah,
just because it was a detour that really didn't need to happen, and it made it even more insignificant when you find out that Poe's plan's not even gonna matter anymore.
In this movie, yeah.
So
I feel
it's
fine with it being insignificant. I thought the horse thing or whatever. I thought that lasted way too long. It was like.
Right.
They wanted to
just
prove that they accomplished something.
But
is
we
it
can
worth
meet the
it?
Disney kids.
Now it is.
We can meet the Disney kids.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just couldn't even believe they thought that they would have the time to go to this whole other place and back while this chase is happening.
In 12 hours.
And how fast is this little ship they got? If they're actually these big ships are chasing and
There's
moving.
a big gripe with this timeline.
It was very strange to me that they would even try something like that.
Ray apparently had 18 hours or something like that on the planet to meet Luke, to get trained, to get back. Like that was the timeline
But there's 2 day-night cycles though.
Yeah. But then it doesn't line up with the movie because it's like they left and we know that Kylo Ren is here at this point in the movie, and because you can say time jump, you can get she's training with Luke.
But the days on that planet don't have to be an actual full 24 hours.
You're right. But when they splice in her seeing Kylo Ren, his
when he was
stuff
shirtless.
is actually happening. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, when he's shirtless.
And he's getting his scar fixed.
I can't wait. I can't wait to. I rewatched the SNL skit with the. I heard Kylo Ren has an 8-pack. I love the undercover boss. Yeah.
I heard the Kylo Ren shredded. Yeah. I watched it too. Yeah, I watched it.
I rewatched that after this movie because I'm like, as soon as I saw me on the shirt, I'm like, I gotta watch the SNL skit without a doubt. And I didn't I really liked Kylo Ren in this movie. Actually, I really did. Because I didn't like him in The Force Awakens when he took his mask off, but I liked him in this movie.
Right. And then that's the thing. We glossed over this, but one of my favorite parts was when, in the beginning, Supreme Leader Snoke was like, take that ridiculous mask off. And he finally does. And then he, berates him for a little bit and he sends him on his merry way. And then Kylo just shows his rage again, just takes that helmet and just smashes against that elevator wall until it's literally shattered.
You know what, though?
I love that. I love it. Symbolism, people. Symbolism.
We're going to get...
speaking of symbolism, real quick. when you look at it, if you freeze frame it, it looks like Vader's helmet when it's smashed.
Sure.
You don't need to
I
freeze
got
them.
that.
You can
I got
see
the
it
second time.
afterwards.
I got that second time. So back to Rey and Luke training. We get
It's curious
Luke,
to me why he's so worried about Snoke's approval, though, since he doesn't really care about him.
It's a
But
father
again, we
figure.
don't.
That was
It's a
the whole
father figure
thing.
theme.
Right.
Yeah.
The father
I got
and
that. No, I
that's
got
what
that
made
without
him
a doubt.
angry. And he's like, wait a second. Fuck Luke. Fuck Snoke. I'm my own man. That's the whole thing.
That's
the whole point
of
of this movie for Kylo. Like, that's his
Yes.
arc. I'm my
got it.
own person.
No, I got that point. Absolutely, I got that point. So we get that, and let's going back to Luke and Rey and the training thing, where he finally decides to train her and says, "I'll teach you 3 lessons," which 2 only happen. But he does teach her the.
Slap in the face.
I did like the fact that I did like that humor where she's like, "Reach out with your, reach out," and she reaches out a hand, and he's like, playing with.
I can feel it. I can
This
feel
is
it.
the
you-
first
can you
time
feel it?
Rey
And
has
he
done
slaps her.
anything wrong.
Yeah, I did
At
like that
all.
point.
Ever.
So I like that whole sequence with him showing her the lessons because he's like burnt out and he teaches her why the Jedi are flawed, and they are flawed. We know this. We've met this. We've experienced this in all of these movies as Star Wars fans. We know the Jedi are flawed. But I liked.
Only they would let Luke. If only they let Anakin have sex with Padme in public, that would have been fine.
very
Everything
good.
would have been good.
Wow. Damn, what are you
That's where it
looking
all
for?
goes back to, Corey. You're right.
It does. It does. It literally does.
So let's So we have Luke teaching her. She goes to the dark. She doesn't go to the dark side. She falls right in the dark side immediately, but then she comes back.
Which was again pointless.
But then we get the meeting of the minds here with Kylo Ren and Rey, which is obviously perpetrated by Snoke, leaving a more lasting impression than Snoke apparently knew about, even though he said, "I know everything."
Just don't. Again, he can still be defeated by semantics, so he doesn't know everything.
He's overconfident for somebody who clearly has
He
a
can
lot of
only
power, but
read minds as if he's reading words. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
apparently. So what do we have there? Where were we? Kylo Ren meeting Rey. They had the whole experiences in between. Rey wants to turn him back. Feels like she could. Luke training her. What was the second lesson from Luke?
I don't know.
The rocks one, I thought.
No. Well, it's not about lifting rocks. That's the first lesson. What the Jedi
No,
are.
the first. But
First lesson
when
was reaching out. I
Yeah,
thought.
reaching out. No, it was also like the Jedi aren't about this, and
what
it
the
doesn't-
Force is,
The Jedi
pretty
don't
much.
own the Force. The Force is part of the universe. Is what the
Right.
lesson was. That was that lesson. The second lesson, I can't
it belongs to
remember.
everyone.
Yeah, that was the
Does.
first lesson.
Jesus is not in a church. He's everywhere.
Yeah. I can't remember what the second lesson was for him, but yeah. So their whole sequences, like you said, Corey, though, were probably the best part of this movie. Were her training and
I just wanted more of it because
well, it felt
you
like
want
it should
more
have been.
Luke to see him be the master.
But that
and,
was the
like,
other thing. He was
Luke
broken.
was never a master.
He was broken. Yeah, well, he was actually, and we're gonna get to that. And that's my new impressions of the second viewing of this movie. I get to actually throw this back at Tony that there were a successful Skywalker in this universe. But we'll get to that at the end. So as we move
Kylo becoming supreme leader.
he's not a Skywalker. He's a Solo. He has Skywalker,
Skywalker blood. It counts.
Sure, and
Anyway,
I know one of
okay,
the big
hold on.
arguments are there are 2 failures in the Skywalker universe that we've seen on. That's why it's like, can this end this way? Can this really end where the Skywalker saga ends as a failure? I know, Tony, you would like to see that, but already
No,
we have.
here's the thing. You were assuming much. I actually loved Luke in this because Luke actually finally accepted the truth
And
that
he
the
did
Jedi
something.
were corrupt
And
and
he did
flawed.
something.
I was like, wow, Luke is saying shit that I actually agree with. Oh my god, what is this? Like, it just took Luke to be like old and like fail and to just be jaded with the
Let's-
entire world
let's
to
merge
come to
this all
that
together.
conclusion.
Let's merge this all together. So we finally get Rey leaving the planet, right?
Very empire-y here.
Yeah. Obviously.
Hold
that
on,
was-
hold on. I want to
we
rewind a
back
little
to?
bit because we're missing the important part where Luke tells Rey what happened with Kylo.
Oh, yes.
What happened.
I
I think
did
this is really important to talk about. I don't know why
You're
we're
right.
glossing over.
You're
this.
right. I did like
Thank
the
you.
fact. I liked how we got 3 stories, and the third one was the way it worked.
It actually, right.
Yeah, I like the 3 stories. So one was obviously from Kylo's point of view, which was what he saw, and that's not wrong.
Right, it's not wrong. Right, exactly. It's not wrong. It's just what he perceived it to be.
Oh, sure.
And Luke is saying
Luke
what he
messed
perceived
up
it to be.
big time
Right.
on the situation. I'm not. Yeah, absolutely. And then we had the other one that Luke told, which was wrong. And we get that. I did love that whole 3 different story sequences, and we get the final story, which was the right one, where he was so afraid of his nephew that he was thinking of killing him for that split second, and then he's like, and then it was gone, and you see his eyes and the shame he had of himself, and then it kind of ties into the other shame that he looked like, because he looked like he was shaming himself when he saw.
So, but here's the thing, though. If he was so certain with his Force future reading of him that he was going to turn bad, would it have been wrong?
Well, no, because he was taught from Yoda that because you see it doesn't necessarily.
From a Jedi perspective, yes, it absolutely would have been wrong.
No,
because they said the same exact thing about Anakin. And Qui-Gon Jinn argued oh no, this is the chosen one, blah blah blah.
Well, Qui-Gon didn't listen to the Jedi at all.
Here's the thing, but Mike, he learned in Bespin when he left Dagobah early from his training. He learned that if he acts, it doesn't necessarily going to pan out the way he wants it to pan out. He saw the future of his friends being taken away, and Yoda said, "Don't leave. If you leave them, if you leave and help them, sure, you can save them." But stay here. You might be able to save them. So I mean, he learned that lesson on Bespin. That was back to Empire right there, is what that was.
Right.
So
and then
he realizes that in this movie, he may have saw that future, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the future we get. And that's the story of the Skywalkers. That's the realization that it's oh shit, I don't have to act here, because if Anakin didn't actually act, Padme would have lived.
Right. Not to mention the whole thing is that Darth Vader, his father, Darth Vader, the entire thing for him in Return of the Jedi was not actually defeating the Empire. It was about saving his father, which I can appreciate and respect. But, he saved his father from the thing, but then for him to look at his nephew and be like, yeah, bro, I'm sorry. I got to kill you now. You're dead. All right, so you're dead. You get a little pass. But your dad actually did some bad shit.
Well, Luke,
your nephew
and
just
that's the
has
argument
some.
for Luke. Luke is very much a pacifist.
He's going through puberty, he's a teenager.
He's going through a phase. He's listening to Linkin Park.
He's very emo. And, I do love the emo Kylo Ren on Twitter. I love that. Now it's alive and well right now. That, by the way. So what else? Where are we at? We got.
So Rey's leaving after learning what the story was.
Flying back with Chewie.
Her when they touched and they saw each other's futures. That I thought that was a great sequence too.
I did like that.
And it
interrupted. Felt out of place with that.
And I was wondering what you guys thought. It showed you can actually transfer physical things through the Force.
Yeah, we got a bit of that.
Never seen that before, right?
We got a bit of that in this movie that we didn't see before, including Force Ghost Yoda doing some stuff.
We're gonna get to that shortly. That established a lot of things in this that J.J. Abrams may run with in the 9th movie, because there's a lot left to be done. Mm-hmm. But
it also sort of complicates the past in a way too.
No, it's not actually. It doesn't, because. It doesn't actually, because the Force Ghost thing is very new for the Jedi at that point. It is.
The only people that actually are confirmed to be Force Ghosts is partially Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah. Obi-Wan.
Actually, he's the only one who's really confirmed.
Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Yeah.
So Qui-Gon taught.
Anakin. Anakin.
Oh, and apparently Anakin, who could just do it.
Two versions of Anakin.
Well, now suppose this is what I have surmised, but the Anakin thing at the end of Return of the Jedi was just because it was a temporary new thing. It wasn't like he can appear out of nowhere. I don't know. That's what I have been.
You might be right with that one. I mean, you might be right. Obi-Wan had no idea what he could manipulate, and he was never that strong in the Force. Obi-Wan's a very good fighter, very good lightsaber, very good, but he's not strong in the Force necessarily. Whereas Yoda is, and we get that in this movie. And I like that, and that's why I'm wondering what's going to happen in Episode 9 with Luke.
See, now, one of the criticisms I have that I could actually take you your guys' stance on, and I'm not trying to pick on you, but the thing is I wanted to know what that the tree it's oh, this is the sacred tree. I'm okay, what?
So let's go to that. Let's just move to that real quick. So I love that sequence. Watching that the second time, I 100% got the fact that Yoda knew she took the books.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I told Luke she did.
Yeah, he's laughing when he burns the tree. He's laughing at Luke. It doesn't fit in the movie, and you're like, why is he laughing here? And then you realize he even says everything she needs in that tree she already possesses. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then that's because she has the books already. So that's why he's laughing with Luke.
Let me try, Luke was gonna just do that anyway, right?
Well, but
that's
then
why
Luke
hesitated.
He hesitated.
Just like he did with his nephew.
Yeah, the indecision there is there. I mean, it's like I
And
can't
then
do this.
Yoda.
I can't end the Jedi here. I can't end the Jedi.
Yoda just trolls him.
Well, the whole last thing Yoda was imparting, again, he literally spells it out. He goes, "You're never in the present. You're always thinking about the future. You're never fully in the present." That is his lesson. That is his character flaw.
Yeah, but that's the idea, and he realizes that in this movie. That's where
and that's why I
Luke learned
appreciate
that.
Luke now as a character. He finally came to fruition. He was a flawed character, and he accepted that.
Yes, and then I love the fact that Yoda, being somebody who also failed and exiled himself, finally shows up in this movie and says, and for those wondering why he suddenly showed up to Luke, it's because Luke closed himself off to the Force. His first line to Luke, "Miss you, I have."
Right.
Mm-hmm. Which is also why Luke had no idea what was going on at first.
And to
between
Han
Kylo,
well. Yep.
With Han and between Kylo and
so everybody's wondering, why did Yoda wait so long to show up? That's why. It raised the spark that took that off. And
spark that lit across the galaxy?
Well, I would argue that Luke is, but we'll get to that in a second. As my Luke fandom gets bigger here. So we had that sequence with the tree, and first of all, I want to say that I really love the fact that they remolded puppet Yoda.
Yeah, puppet. You could instantly tell it was not CGI.
Yeah, what a great idea! Like the blue around him was CG, and the rest was puppet. I love that. I absolutely love that idea. It made it practical effects, and that holds up longer than if you watch the prequels right now. You're like, this shit does not hold up.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was weird. I don't know, maybe this is just me, but when Yoda did actually show up, I was legitimately surprised because I just figured that all the shit that had happened since Return and The Force Awakens, something had happened where Yoda and or Obi-Wan couldn't materialize anymore to anybody. So I was not expecting to see Yoda in this movie. So for me, it was a pleasant surprise. And I'm glad I didn't get spoiled for that.
I really like seeing Yoda. I did not get spoiled for that, obviously.
Not only that, he can call down lightning and hit him in the head with his stick.
Now that's a new precedent set here. You can physically interact with people in the living universe because he hit him in the head, and he also burned the tree down. Now Yoda's very strong, but so is Luke. Does J.J. Abrams run with that in the next movie?
I don't think you can.
I think he could.
Much. It just makes it too cheating. It's just why aren't all the dead Jedi who can do that now fighting the battles?
There aren't any other Jedi. I just explained. The only people who know it.
We learned from Revenge of the Sith, the only ones that know is Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Yoda.
Yeah. All right, so then all of them. Fine, you have a team of 3-4 Jedi now who can fight without dying because they're dead.
No, but they can. No, it needs to be. It's still
this was the holy place. It was a holy place. It was strong with the Force.
But it's also strengthened the Force. Yoda is fucking strong as hell. That's already been established.
He's over 9,000.
Yeah, we get that. No, absolutely.
This is just. Sounds
it establishes something new that Luke can interact and probably train Rey for that third lesson that he never showed her.
I mean, he could, I suppose. You always got this sense before, though, that just showing up was taxing, and they're on borrowed time just to do that.
Probably, if they disappear into the Force, they can come back as ghosts. That's how I see it. Because Obi-Wan disappears, Yoda disappears, and Luke disappears.
The statement from Obi-Wan is, "You can strike me down, and I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine."
Which we never saw.
Yes. But I think we will.
No, we saw him come back as a Force ghost, and that's
not more powerful. He's literally just a voice in someone's ear.
We did not see Obi-Wan's power in this situation.
That's what you get.
But I think we saw Yoda's power in the situation. You can freaking manipulate the nature, lightning calling down on trees. I think we get that finally, Mike. I think we do in the next movie.
We'll see, I guess. It's another new director who might just throw all this out again.
JJ again.
Yeah, who might be insulted and throw it all out.
He might be, but I think...
I mean, I think it's kind of like insulting to insinuate that like they haven't talked or they haven't like gone through approval. It's not like
Well,
they're
that's
just
the-
like,
that's the
hey,
big argument,
Isn't
though.
Ryan Johnson writing part of the
No,
next
he's
one
not.
too?
He just said he's
Oh.
not. It's J.J. Abrams
That's-
and somebody else co-writing it. It's not
I
Ryan
can't
Johnson.
imagine that everything that they built in The Force Awakens, that he's happy with the way it was treated.
But he has the
That's
option also. Again, he also has the option to undo the parents. It was left open to be
I
questionable.
suppose it's yeah.
It is left
But at
open
this
to be
point,
questionable
it's-
as much as anything else.
Well, hell,
It-
my belief, and I'm going to make this
Like
prediction
Captain
on this
Phasma, like-
podcast. I'll make
Oh
a prediction
god,
right now.
there's the other thing.
Snoke may not be dead.
He was pretty thoroughly cut up there, like more than most people we've seen.
But he didn't
like
look. He
die.
didn't look already cut up.
I
What?
mean, if you bring back Darth Maul, you can bring back Snoke.
Well, that's not canon, is it?
No.
Darth Maul.
yeah, it is.
It is
It
canon,
is.
actually.
Absolutely,
But
100%.
the second thing is like
he
look at
actually
him.
fights Obi-Wan later.
Yeah.
Look at
on
Snoke.
Tatooine.
In this movie, Snoke looks like he got fucked up already.
Well, he
Yeah.
looked that way in the
Sure,
first.
yeah, we don't know
hold on.
why
so,
that is.
So if
but-
Snoke comes up in Episode 9 as having been regenerated or half mechanical or whatever, and like here's my villain, I have a mustache, let me twirl it and reveal my entire lineage and history for all to see, and my master plan on why I wanted Kylo and blah blah blah. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be happy. You're gonna be like, thank you. You explained everything I wanted to know about you. You're gonna be happy.
Yes.
It'd be
You
better.
would be happy with that.
I would
Yes.
prefer that over
Okay.
just like
All right.
because
Okay.
that would be like him being
He'd be
like
manipulative at that point. Manipulating Kylo Ren still.
So by that token, you were okay with what they did to Darth Maul in all the cartoons and stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Really?
Uh,
Really?
I haven't watched it.
Yes.
Really?
I
You're
liked
gonna
bringing Darth Maul back, and I liked his end. I felt like it was kind of like, why did they give him mechanical legs? My argument here is, Snoke is Darth Plagueis, who can cheat death. That's my
It is possible. I'm saying it is possible. But you're being so mad about it until like,
Yes, because it hasn't been explained. I'm taking it
Problem
at
is
face
the
value.
story that no Jedi would tell.
I'm taking it as face
the
value.
Jedi. This is the whole point of this
All
movie.
right, so
Jedi.
we have them getting back to the ship. We get in Snoke's ship where we have Rey meeting Snoke finally. We have
You get the little betrayal thing too with
Right, because I think that's important. Because again,
Kylo.
the entire underlying theme
Oh.
of this entire movie is failure. Is
it
failure.
is
Every
failure.
single
Failure
character
is
in
the
this
point of this movie.
failed in
But
one aspect
Yoda
or
says
another.
that. He's like, you need to learn from the failures.
Right.
That's the most
Right.
important thing
Right.
for.
So this
and I
is
like
one
that.
for Rey.
But that's I forgot to mention that with Yoda. That was the biggest thing I've heard him say in any movie, from any like all the prequels up to this movie. That's the biggest thing I've heard him say, is the most important thing a Jedi can learn is failure, and I think he didn't realize that himself.
not
in
failure,
6
but
movies.
learn from failure.
Yes.
Failure is the greatest teacher. I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah.
exactly.
But he learned that finally. There's something he just picked up because he didn't know that before. And I think that's canon. I think that we get that now. Like these Force ghosts can learn their lessons and say, this is what I can pass this on. And he says that to Luke. Pass on what you've learned.
Yep.
So
anyway,
I think they're going to
Ray
manipulate
experience.
things.
Right.
So
Rey and Kylo meet,
Rey,
and you're not
Kylo
sure
meet.
what's
We
going
get
to
to go
happen.
to Snoke. We get Snoke.
And you see the cuffs. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Shit's either gonna get real or shit's gonna get kinky. One of the two. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I don't know what it is.
I like the fact that Snoke clearly drew everything out of her that he needed to learn about Luke and where he is and stuff like that. Like, it shows his power. I love the
So
fact that she was
powerful,
trying to
but-
pull the lightsaber and it made it look like she did, and he just flipped it around and hit her in the head.
He just hit her in the
Yeah.
head. It's like, oh god.
Yeah.
Uh,
His hubris was his biggest weakness.
I just thought it was. I think it's kind of silly. He could read this mind, but it's just only
Well-
could read it like he's reading a paper, and
Yeah,
that's
but the point
why.
was, Mike, is like Kylo Ren. His
I
purpose
see you
was
turning
set.
the saber there towards your true enemy. Oh wait, parentheses. That's me.
You
Not.
didn't know that.
That's what he said. He said it out loud.
His true enemy, yes.
Yeah, he said his true enemy. He didn't know who it was because he's reading his mind like reading
But-
all of a sudden.
But if
Yeah,
he comes
Well,
back,
emotions, Mike. It's emotions. That's
but
why.
what if he comes back in the next movie and that makes it more awesome? Like he knew that was happening.
He knew that was happening. He
Yeah.
wanted to get cut in half and then some.
It's all about learning lessons. making Kylo who he could be.
So this here is my favorite sequence in the movies.
Well, it's the
Rey,
best
Kylo.
This was the best
lightsaber
action sequence.
We get the Praetorian guards fighting with...
Don't know what's behind them, but apparently they're pretty formidable.
Well, it's already been established that there are weapons that can counter lightsabers in this universe. We got that in the prequels. And this kind of built off of that, which was nice. Anytime you integrate the prequels into this saga, it's nice because you're like, okay, this solidifies this at least, because we've never gotten that before.
Really? So you want them to talk about, like, midichlorians and shit?
Hold on.
They're going to have that. The way they're going, they're going to have
that.
to soon. They're coming back, midichlorians, because
you can pick.
You got to measure this somehow.
I did like the fact that those guards can hold up to lightsabers. I love.
No, I like that too. I like that. That's fine. Great.
There are bits and pieces of the prequels that we all liked.
I don't see why you just don't force push all those guys on their asses, but it's okay.
Okay. It's in the heat of the moment, Mike. You got to defend yourself. You got to try to fight them. There was a great fight sequences. We got. I love the finish with Kylo Ren, her throwing the lightsaber to him and him like shooting the guy in the head. But there was
that was a good audience reaction from my theater. Like everybody collectively was like, "Ooh!" Like you could just hear it. Like everybody was like,
"Yeah, no, we got that too." I think.
Yeah, we did. So we had that awesome sequence. We had Finn.
And this is the part where, like, not to gloss over, Jim, but this is the part where I think it solidifies Kylo's character and really makes you see who he because this is where he's like.
This is where he
makes his decision.
This is where he makes the decision.
Knows what he wants and he's gonna go for it. And he thinks he can get Rey to be on his side, and
Rey thinks she can still turn him.
Right, and at the same time you think that, and as a viewer, you're thinking the same thing.
About that though is it was undermining the fact that Snoke said, "I told you people, both of you, that you can do each of these things already."
I don't think that undermined anything.
But he already told them. I said, "You can turn this one, and you can turn this one." He said that to him.
No, I think it amplified the fact that the decision that he makes and tries to get her to come makes it a better sequence. Like, it makes that moment better because now it's not the whole, oh, this guy's going to become good and now he's going to be a good guy and we're going to fight Snoke.
And can we get a moment of silence for the Anakin Skywalker lightsaber that has been through hell and is now destroyed?
Yep.
And now she gets to build her own. So
I hope, and hopefully get a staff version of it, like Darth Maul's lightsaber would be great for her.
But again, I hope in the future we explain exactly why Kylo feels so connected to Rey. If she really is,
you know what though?
No one
there was
from
already
nowhere.
a slight connection, and then Snoke kind of reinforced it. He may have done it accidentally. Like, he didn't realize what he was doing at that point. I think that was a fall of Snoke. Yes.
I think he knew what he was doing.
He was trying to already join them more, and he joined them more, and that was the problem. There was like an alliance there.
I thought you thought that he didn't know what he was doing by connecting them.
Oh no. He knew what he was doing. But he
like,
didn't foresee the fact that they would join. They would get this bond.
And in the end, he feels he'd rather kill Snoke than her by a bit.
Yeah.
Right, because his whole thing was like.
Well, he thought she would
kill the past.
Yeah.
Fuck Luke, fuck Snoke. I'm my own person. Like, that's his entire thing, man.
That is his thing. Yeah.
Own person, but he's still looking to partner up with someone.
Right. He wanted Rey. Like, I don't know, as just a partner or romantic interest. That's probably what I would assume. But like, I mean, that's it. And there's, you don't.
I don't get that vibe from it, but
he wanted somebody else there on his side.
I got a romantic vibe with that.
They had a connection.
He even said, he's like, you're nothing. You came from nothing. Say it, like, you're nothing except to me. Like, you're nothing to nobody except me. Like, that's what he literally said. Like, you're something to me.
Yeah. He said
like,
that, yep.
Out of all the characters that we have seen Rey interact with, he's the only character that has actually said that to Rey.
Yeah, because Luke was saying the entire time, "Who are you?" to her constantly.
Right. Who's your parents?
Yep. Who are you? So we get Finn and Rose
still think they're brother and sister.
DJ on the ship doing this weird hacking thing that fails, and then we get like Poe hearing that. We get Leia resurrecting essentially and stunning Poe, which I liked. And I'm just kind of pushing through this.
And the hacker guy betrays his people and gets probably 80% of the rebel force just killed.
Resistance, yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's the biggest plot hole of this movie. How does he know the resistance is doing that? Because nobody knew they were doing that. That was the idea of Holdo is nobody knew they were doing that.
Doing what?
No,
They were cloaking and going away to that planet. Holdo did not tell anybody at that point. Remember? Poe?
yeah, but he's a hacker, and he sees like all these ships ejecting. Like,
He didn't see that. They were already on the ship at that point.
Sure, he was hacking in the system. He
Okay.
can do whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. That I kind
That's
of
the
question it,
biggest
but I
plot
haven't
hole
seen
of
it the
this movie
second
is
time.
that.
I don't
would
know.
recommend.
To be honest, like, I don't think that was a big deal. Like,
That was
as
the
far as
biggest plot hole of
plot
this movie.
hole. Yeah.
Maybe they just looked out the window and saw from pretty far
No,
away.
they said that he told them. That's why he paid them. They paid him. Not because they turned him in. He didn't turn them in. It's once they got turned in, he sold the rebellion out.
Right.
Yeah,
Wait,
I don't know.
Did Poe explain that to Finn?
Poe didn't know.
BB-8?
Finn,
No,
Finn
they
and
didn't know at
Hart
that
talked
point.
to
No,
him.
at some point he did, because that's when he did the mutinying. Because he didn't agree with the transport method.
He didn't hear about that until he was knocked out and put on the ship.
No, because he mutinied.
Yeah,
He mutinied when he walked in. He goes, "Oh, you were trying to evacuate via the transports, blah blah blah," and then he ran off.
Yeah, he didn't
because he got
He never
dismissed
mentioned it to Finn.
He didn't. I
No.
thought he was talking.
They
'cause
hardly-
BB-8 injected the communicator to Finn, and they were talking.
You need to hurry up. We need to do this now.
Right, but and didn't he go like, "This is happening," blah blah blah, blah
No,
blah blah.
he never went into the
He didn't. Okay, I only saw
And the
one.
plan
so I
was
don't-
not known to him either that they were doing that. He was just
Well, no,
as
at that
far as
time,
he knew.
when he mutinied, he knew.
He didn't know what the real plan was,
Yeah.
though.
He just
What
knew
the
she was
other- he
fueling
didn't
up
even
the
know that
ship.
other
Right, but
planet
that-
even
I don't
existed.
even know what you're talking about anymore.
Abandoning
I think you guys-
he knew they were trying to abandon the ship, not to go to that planet.
Right, but that's all we're saying.
But
He knew that
The
they were
Empire all of a
abandoning
sudden
ship.
knew they were there. Not the Empire. The First Order knew that they were there, going to that planet.
No, they didn't know they were going to the planet. They knew they were ejecting. They didn't
No.
say anything about the planet.
No, Hux said to Finn and Rose that this guy told us that there's a cloaked set of ships out there that are going towards the planet.
Well, I guess where else would
He
they
said-
go?
Yeah, well, cloaked. He made the statement cloaked. He made the statement ships made going towards the planet. Like that was
Yeah.
the plan. Apparently, that he just knew magically.
Yeah.
It's a big.
Well,
plot,
if he
it
can,
really
if
is.
he can open a jail cell with a piece of wrapper, then he can find out there's cloaked ships in space.
I'm not saying he couldn't, but they didn't really quite establish that. So I didn't like I said, I liked his character quite a bit, but and I looked past that plot hole, but it's the biggest plot hole of this. It really is.
I mean, I'm down on this movie, and that didn't even bother me as much.
That
Maybe because
bothered
it
me
was
more the
down
second
on
time.
other
I
Corey,
didn't
Corey,
things.
the
really
second
even
time
notice
that bothered
that, to
me.
be honest.
Like everything else, I looked past, and then the second time that bothered me the most.
Mhm.
It bothers me more about them leaving and getting back to these ships that are apparently moving pretty fast without it being like an issue at all while they're getting fired.
I don't understand why somebody needs to be on a ship that has no gas. Like, why did that guy stay on the ship? Just go with the rest of your crew.
Holdo?
Yeah, it seemed weird. Like, I was
No,
like,
no, there's
no,
the ships that fall off. Like,
that were falling behind and
Oh
getting
yeah,
blown
yeah. I
up.
don't know.
you run out of gas. You run out of gas. You don't need to control it anymore. It's not like
Yeah,
you need to go
you
down.
just let
to
it
the
go.
ship.
It has momentum. I was
What do
like,
you guys-
all right.
We get
Yeah,
to
the rules
see,
of space were totally screwed this time too.
we get to see
Well,
Captain
they've always
Phasma,
been.
too.
I know, but it's like worse than normal. Like the blatant gravity between the two ships that was going to happen with those bombs, and that thing where she's like falling out. It's like artificial gravity extends between these two ships as well.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's very selective as to what's in space and what is an airlock or what is like protected. But we get what do we got here? Let's see.
Captain Phasma.
Phasma finally showing up from the dead, back from the dead. The trash can.
I laughed
never
out
died.
loud. I laughed out loud when she died in this.
Okay.
Did she die? Again, it's
Because-
left open.
They bring
Yeah.
her back for no reason. Like she came back. There was all this hubbub about her in the first movie,
She
and
went
for
out
no
the
reason.
same way she went out the last time.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, she did.
Like a punk. And again, and it just happens again. She does hardly anything. It is a little bit of a fight. It was an okay fight sequence, I guess, but it's just like
I really don't know why she gets this
That's
special
it.
armor that can like deflect blaster shots. Like, what is so special about her? She's a
So-
worthless character.
Well, if you go through, the extended universe and read like the book, apparently she's a badass.
Apparently.
Apparently.
But
I don't know
that's what a big Star Wars fan would do is read the book, right?
There's not enough literature on her to.
I
full-
read Legends
a full
apparently
opinion.
not canon because Legends are way better than the regular canon books.
That's weird. It's kind of like
But I mean, the same problem
That's
I have
kind of like
with,
that was the theme of the movie, that the legends were better than the actual people.
So this movie shouldn't exist.
The legend of Luke Skywalker.
Well, that's what the big thing is.
The
in this
next movie will be like just like them in offices because it'll be more realistic.
So we get them abandoning ship. We get a great Holdo scene where she hyperspaces into Snoke's ship, which I love.
It's her only good scene, really.
I love that sequence. Love
also the second best sequence in the movie.
Yeah, I love that sequence. That might be my favorite sequence of that movie. It was that I love the silence of it, where she just like.
It was the moment. Yeah.
It's definitely a moment.
Yeah.
I think it's what a highlight people talk about. Like, oh, Star Wars, remember that moment when she like goes into light speed and like blows through the dreadnought?
The ships too. She also blows up other ships too.
Oh.
So I like that. So love the whole sequence. And then we have the Phasma like fall apart where.
Yeah, good thing she hit there, not in that spot.
Yeah,
on
movie
the
magic. Those two survive. Everybody else is dead around them, and BB-8 apparently has a AT-ST that he can run to the ship with her.
Right.
BB-8 can do anything.
And then we get Phasma's death. Finally.
Air quotes.
Death, which I don't believe until I see it, because we haven't seen it yet. And then we get them leaving that to magically show up with the rebels on the planet of Crate, I think.
Yeah, how did they get out of there like that?
There was a ship. Remember
She goes, "Hey, you need a ride?" And then they go to the ship.
And they get there and they beat the Imperial.
Well, if you watch it again,
First Order.
the TIE Fighters are actually shooting at that ship when they were like going into the planet and they're closing the door.
That's right.
Yeah, and then they fall into the door and it closes and then they get out and then you have a great moment of Poe. Hey, you guys are alive. Where's my droid? I actually love that sequence because it follows the first movie. Finally, something that follows the first movie. And then we get a sequence of
the Hoth planet.
Hold on. I want to rewind just a little bit. Shout out to the evil counterpart to BB-8 in this movie. Like when they snuck on the ship
in
the
establish
uniforms.
him more though, Tony?
No, I didn't know who his parents were. I don't care. Like it's fine. But I love like how they're just sneaking by, like nobody gives a fuck. But then you just see this like black version of like a BB-8 just like turn around and like identify and just like it starts flipping out, just like beeping and like red like lights and all that shit.
The one that turned them in. It was Benicio del Toro's character that turned them in.
Right, but it did something because it went and did something.
It brought all the stormtroopers there.
Yeah, to where they were.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. I'm not saying it's good. I just thought it was.
What did you guys think of the hyperspace tracking? We never talked about that with Battlestar Galactica's hyperspace tracking. What did you guys think?
Oh, it's interesting because they actually mentioned that in Rogue One.
Yes, they did actually. I liked the sequence, but I felt that they could have jumped more, like Battlestar. If they're gonna bring it in, they might as well do it like Battlestar.
Yeah, I think it would have been cool if they had done it like another time, like jump the light speed again, and then like wait a second, they're still doing.
I mean, it made sense that they weren't jumping because they needed to go to the base, the rebel base.
Yeah, but that would have been better to say.
I don't know if that was
us.
their initial thing.
Yeah. So we get this planet of Crate that has salt on it, which is established by Rian Johnson, who I think is a cameo in this movie, right? At that point, isn't that him?
Oh, the guy next to that character is Gareth Edwards. I don't know who the actor is.
I was wondering why.
It's Gareth Edwards. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the one that says
This was one of those scenes that sort of confused me with the way it was edited, because I didn't know that those were like...
Well, just remember, like, anytime they linger on random people that you don't know who they are, there's somebody famous.
There's somebody big.
Yeah, I know. But not only that, I thought that they were the First Order at the first viewing of it, because I couldn't tell, like, where they were set up exactly, like, or how they were already ensconced there already so quickly. They look like they've been there for a while.
AT-ATs showing up, which with better
AT-ATs.
And we get these really crappy ships from the Rebellion here. And talk about the spark and hope. There's no hope in the... they're trying to get this planet to give out a signal to other
They're looking for
fleets.
Superman.
Yeah. Essentially, no, they're looking for fleets to show up to help them, and nobody shows up. So they get this last-ditch run to go to the cannon to destroy the cannon. This is where I feel like the point of the movie gets a little lost with Finn, because he doesn't see that, and tries to sacrifice himself. Again, another sacrifice, which would have felt flat after Holdo's sacrifice.
Would it have? I thought it would have been a good
2 in a row?
Because he's done nothing pretty much this entire movie. So do something useful, man.
Yeah, I mean, we get... it's amazing that we have Kylo Ren's ship flying above the AT-ATs and not doing anything whatsoever. And
Well, we have AT-ATs, man.
I did love the fact that there was the Hux repeating Ren's orders constantly, and Ren just looks at him like, "What?"
I love the moment when the Hux thinks he could take him out, and then he wakes up. It's like,
yeah,
that was a cool scene. Man.
Yeah. I love that, like, he's going to pull the blaster, and then he wakes up, he puts the blaster back, And then, like, the force choke, I like that whole sequence, and then Hux really just owns his role of comedic relief at this point. He, you know, like Kylo Ren, admitting, like, buying into he's the Supreme Leader, Hux buys in the fact that he's comic relief, and that's the end of it.
Could you imagine
I don't think it's like
Grand
he's
Moff
buying
talking?
comedic relief. He's buying into that he's second fiddle to fucking Kylo Ren.
But he was, I mean, like,
well,
imagine if, like, Tarkin was this
sibling
much
rivalry
of a,
almost.
Joke.
Yeah, he could have been like a Tarkin. He could have been a Tarkin.
Yeah, imagine if Tarkin was this much of a joke. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, he kind of did die in the first movie Tarkin was in.
What? Yeah, but he wasn't this much of a joke in terms of just repeating Vader's orders. He had his own self. He was his own self.
He actually sort of chastised Vader.
Yeah, he did.
I have to say, speaking of literature, Tarkin's book is pretty good.
Fantastic book, by the way. I did read that one. Yes, Tarkin's Rise is awesome. But yeah, so we have the sequence. Hope's going out in the galaxy. We have the Millennium Falcon showing up that can draw every single TIE fighter that's fighting, shooting at these fighters.
They really hate that ship.
They hate that ship, yeah. That was said. And we have Finn dive bombing a cannon that gets knocked out from Rose. And then finally we get
So wait, you're just gonna briefly mention the Finn development where he goes from being a deserter and only caring about himself to being a part of something where he's willing to sacrifice himself.
I didn't.
That's not character.
I just missed that point, but you might be right there. But he was more trying to save Rey again.
No,
I didn't buy that at all. Rey was in the Millennium Falcon.
I never really understood his motivations at all, like how he deserted and like it was just went 180 from the first movie. Like, not from the first movie, in the first movie. I was like, why are you doing this again?
Yeah.
Well, I think in the first movie, there was development for him. He went from not being a deserter in the first movie. This one, he had a singular focus to help Rey and do whatever she needed to do to help Rey in whatever Rey was doing. That was my...
Right, he wasn't trying to help the Resistance necessarily. He just wanted to help Rey. And then by the end, he wants to help the Resistance.
No, because they told him not to do that. So like he's just serving himself.
He's ignoring him to end.
Yeah, again, he's pulling a Poe, but I thought it would have been a decent sacrifice. But then this girl decides to just, no, you're not over 50. You can live. So he survives and gets an unwanted kiss from her. It seemed like to me.
That was kind of out of nowhere because there was no like romantic.
Yeah, there was nothing.
I think the only thing that they could have like hinted at was like she was kind of starstruck by him when she first saw him. And it's like,
suppose. I still
you're a hero. You're starstruck. You're going to be in love with him.
Possibly. I mean, it's like a Hollywood crush, maybe. Who knows?
No.
Like,
and then, of course, she's going to be the next.
You don't know her feelings, Jim. Come on.
She's going to be.
You don't know either. You just putting words in her mouth.
Who are her parents?
I'm taking it at face value.
I know, but we know her sister. Her sister who died. That's who she was related to.
Yep.
That's her whole origin. There we go.
We finally get the big moment of Leia and Luke reuniting at the next sequence here, where there's no hope, and Luke finally shows up, and strangely enough, has the brown beard, shorter hair.
Yeah, and short hair. And at this point, I did sort of suspect that he was doing what he.
I had no idea. I did not.
I'm like, he's not really there, is he?
Did I have to ask you, Jim? I was like, did he dye his beard?
I thought so. Yeah, I thought he did. I thought he trimmed him. I thought he trimmed his beard and just like cut his hair. I'm like, wow, he had a lot of time to do that.
No, like it was interesting because he like made himself look like how he looked when we saw him with Kylo the last time.
He transfers the dice from the Millennium Falcon.
Yes. So at that point, I'm like, oh, maybe he is actually there.
Yeah, they had a nice touching moment of Leia and Luke finally reuniting, which is cool. I really.
And I still, this whole trilogy, one of the greatest disappointments is that the original three never reunited. I think that's kind of
a travesty.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
and
something they missed.
There was even a part of me, and I know maybe this was beyond wishful thinking, that there would be like a flashback scene with actual Han in this movie, the three of them, but no.
No.
That's obviously never going to happen now.
You just wanted an award ceremony sequence where they get a medal.
No, I
at the
just
end.
wanted. I did.
No,
I agree,
not
Mike.
that. But I would have liked to see them all together again.
You know, we get Luke saying that I'm going to finally.
Yeah.
I'm here to actually destroy, like, just basically end Kylo Ren. Like, I have to defeat him. He's there to do that, but he's
like,
not.
I tried.
But he's not actually there to do that because he's not there.
Not there.
Well,
yeah.
Well, not only that, but he said he wants to end Kylo Ren. So that could have been like, again, just like, I want to end the entity that is Kylo Ren, just like I want to end Darth Vader. I want to save Anakin. I want to save Ben.
Yep.
I could see that.
Because he never calls him Kylo Ren. He always calls him Ben.
Yeah, but the whole speech with Leia is, I know he's not. You can't save him. She even says that. I know he's beyond.
No, but then he goes, nobody's ever beyond saving.
You're right. He does say that statement.
He says that, and then he goes up to and he apologizes. He goes, "I'm sorry," and he goes, "I'm sure you are," and whatever. And he goes like,
"You don't know my life."
Yeah, and then
you gotta love the pimp moment though, where he just like fire everything out.
Let's back up to that real quick, where you have the fire everything, all these cannons firing on Luke, and he's gonna live here. Everybody does.
And it was great. It's also
I did love that sequence of
the crowd reaction when he steps out of the cloud and just like dusts his shoulder off. Yeah. That was pretty cool. Like everybody was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I did like that because nobody had any idea he was a projection at that point. And then we have the I have to go down there and see him. I have to go down there and meet him. And Hux is like, "We have all these guns. Just shoot the rebellion." And he throws him into the wall. And the guy's like, then the pilot's like, "Bring it down there." Yep, bring it
right
down.
away, sir.
Yep, right away. So we had that. That was great. Little joke there, which worked.
Do you think you got him?
Yeah. So, but then we have a showdown from Luke and Kylo. And meanwhile, Rey is searching for the rebellion's area, and they're looking for a way out because Poe.
She's above and they're below.
Poe realizes there's got to be another way out, which is funny because he's like, he got in here. I'm like, well, he didn't actually get in there at that point. When you watch it again, you're like, well, he didn't actually get in there, so there's no actually way he got in. But
the ice fox, whatever, they
found a way out, and Rey found them. And she ended up lifting rocks, which was hilarious because
she even said it. She's like, lifting rocks. Huh.
Yep. And then Luke's joke was, "It's not about lifting rocks," and yeah, that is what saves it.
Literally, what it's about.
Yeah. But I did like the fact of Luke parrying Kylo Ren's. I watched the second time. Never once did their lightsabers touch. He parried them constantly, and also in the salt, you see Kylo's footsteps, and you never see Luke's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was a cool, subtle thing. Subtle things also that my girlfriend Amanda saw when the tree burns down. It's the rebellion symbol.
Okay.
I saw that. Yeah.
I missed that.
I didn't see that. Somebody mentioned that.
But so they're fighting here, and then he says, "You can strike me down. I'll always be with you, just like your father." And then Kylo Ren still tries to do that, and that's kind of the end of. That's the end of Ben Solo, I think.
And that's when we realize, that's the end of Ben Solo, and that's when you realize that he's not there, too.
Yeah, that's the end of Ben Solo.
Confirming it.
So, I don't understand the "see you around, kid" statement from...
Well,
it was a Han Solo throwback, come on.
Yeah, but he's not going to see him around.
You don't know that!
He's going to troll the shit out of him as a ghost?
That.
We'll see.
You don't know that.
But here's the thing.
Don't think Luke's going to appear in Episode 9.
He will, but not to Kylo
don't
Ren.
think so.
He's dead. Ben Solo is dead.
I will bet on it.
Here's the thing. When I saw that and he pulled off that trick, I thought, oh, that's great. That's cool. So he was able to do this and not even leave the island. And then we cut to him just, like, falling off the toilet, Elvis style. And it's just like, really?
Well,
I thought it was
okay.
Established.
But it was established earlier. Kylo Ren even said earlier when he saw Rey, "You couldn't be here, you'd be dead." He established earlier that the amount of strength it takes to show up on another island, like someplace else that you're not on, it's so much power you can't live. It was established earlier.
Still, I mean, I just didn't. It was just sort of
Luke did
confusing.
Luke did it.
I know.
Which is, like, shows his power. And then, like, he also becomes the legend of Luke Skywalker at that point, as we get later.
The fact that he says that you can't do it, it would tear you apart, means that someone has probably done it, and it could be done without dying. Wouldn't that be implied by that?
I mean, honestly, I thought it was a better way to go out than Obi-Wan's.
Yeah, everything was better than
I don't disagree with Corey on this one,
wow.
but like, maybe Anakin could have done that, Mike. That's about it.
In his prime, maybe.
To me,
maybe
it's
Anakin
sort
could have
Luke
done
was
that.
old.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
yeah, because
it's
he
sort
was
of
old. He hadn't trained with the Force for how many years? Like, we don't know that. You know.
I don't know. It sort of undercut his trick to me. Like, I thought like that was a great thing that happened, and like, oh, see you around. I thought he would be around, and then it's just. Like,
I don't disagree with you, Mike, but he will be around. He'll be a Force ghost. There's no.
and
question
also
he's not.
the editing in that threw me off because I thought he was looking out at himself the way it was edited. Like it looked like he was looking at another silhouette.
Well, that was the
sometimes,
weird part of
and
the
I'm like,
editing
wait.
of his death, where he
I'm
looked
like,
out
who
and he saw
is
something
he
in the
looking
sun.
at?
He saw
It was-
something in
he's-
the sun.
He was just looking at the dual suns, which is again another throwback to A New Hope
But
and
it
him
looked
being
like there was
on
something
Tatooine.
in the sun when he looked at it.
Yeah, and I
I
thought he
don't
was
I didn't
like.
see it.
It looked like he was looking at himself. It
Yeah,
was kind
maybe.
of weird the way it was edited. I thought
Maybe
someone
he was
else
looking at his
there.
Force ghost.
And then you
I
have
don't know.
the
It
two
was-
suns, which
I did not like the way that played out, though.
Well, I'm sure Jim didn't either because it's boy.
No, I actually don't mind it as much as the gripes I had with this movie. Watching it the second time, the first time I hated it.
I was fine with that sequence. I was much more not upset, but I would rather have seen Han Solo live. Like Luke could have come or gone. Didn't bother me.
Well, here's the thing. And again, I know that we're systematically killing each of them in these first two movies, and now we know we won't get Leia in the third. So it's just like, well, that's
Hey,
it.
you still got Chewbacca.
Yeah, he still lives. And C-3PO and R2.
We've
are
got
very
enough
minor
of them
'cause you can't sell
because
those toys anymore.
they were shoved in the prequels as well. I don't need any more C-3PO or R2-D2.
Yeah. So we have Luke's death, Rey saying he was at peace when it happened. He can't feel him anymore. But, we know he'll be back. Rey saving the day. But we do get the entire... Well, not the entire...
Resistance.
But the entire Resistance and the First Order, first of all, showing, seeing Luke by himself walking out. And this is why I like the movie. Walking out and standing down the First Order by himself. And doing something finally, sparking that hope of the rebellion by himself.
Being useful.
Tony, I know, you talk about Skywalker's legacies and how they're tragic and
No,
not doing anything. You can't argue
even
this
said
time
no.
around.
No, I'm
This
not.
time
I
around, you
even
can't
said this
argue.
movie makes me like Luke.
Yes. So when I watched the second time, I'm like, Tony can't argue this when finally
No,
we have
I love it because Luke was actually shown.
Yeah.
Right, he was shown to be a tragic character. He had flaws.
And
He owned up to them, and he did something.
Yeah, and he
passed
finally
the
did
torch
something.
on.
Yep. And you have the universe now telling stories of Luke Skywalker's legend about standing up to the New Order in the next sequence with the kids. And that was the significance of what he did.
How did they know about that? Is there
That's what I'm saying. You had
Space
the
Wi-Fi?
Resistance.
Because you had the Resistance and you had the First Order all watching this.
Was that supposed to be way afterwards? Because that kid didn't look like... They look like the same day,
Word
practically.
travels fast, man. Small galaxy.
Small galaxy...
These are
He's
such
more
nitpicks.
sensitive, right?
I don't know,
Wi-Fi,
man.
man.
This is
I
just,
don't know how this
super
kid-
petty. dude.
That's
Because
I'm okay with that.
again, we know that there's very few people left in both of these.
No, there's a
people who
lot
are on
of First
that
Order
thing.
left. And they all
Not that
watched
was
Luke
there.
Skywalker survive a bombardment. First of all, they have no idea that he was not there. No idea.
The idea is this is supposed to spread hope across the galaxy, but again, how many people could actually relay that to anyone? I don't
All of the
understand.
First Order could be like, I watched this
All the
guy
First
walk
Order,
out.
the movie
shot
is
him
called
and
The
he
Why
died.
would
Last
the
Jedi.
First Order
The
tell
big
anyone
deal
about
this
that?
movie was Luke
Because
Skywalker coming out of nowhere. You don't think all those Resistance people were the First Order were saying, "Wow, that's the fucking Luke
That's what
Skywalker
Snoke
of
was
Order
legend."
is going to broadcast that
That's
happened.
what Snoke was
Probably,
worried about
yeah.
in the
Why
first
would they do
movie.
that?
That's the one thing that tied into the first movie. Snoke was worried about Luke Skywalker coming back. He comes back. He stands down the First Order. They can't kill him with
And
all
the
of their
First
lasers.
Order is going to tell everyone, and the First Order is going to call up the
Like,
Casino Planet
First
people and
Order
be
is
like,
just
"Hey,
regular
tell
guys like
everyone
you and
Luke
me, man.
Skywalker just handed
They're
our ass
regular
to
guys
us."
like you and me, man. They're not clones.
I mean, I think the First Order realized he wasn't there when Kylo Ren
No,
sliced him in half and then
they
he
didn't
didn't
realize that.
die.
Maybe Kylo Ren did. But
They're
they
all
didn't
watching
realize
them. What are you talking
that.
about?
Sure. And he disappears.
Exactly.
He's like, oh shit, we have to deal with this guy.
I mean, I'm
just
just all I'm
fucking
just saying. I
disappears.
think
To
that
me,
they
I don't
realized that he
see
wasn't
why
there.
anyone who wasn't already aligned with the rebels or whatever they're called, I would even know at this point.
Yeah.
Those are the same people who didn't listen anyway.
You got to send out those flyers, man. That people realize there's still hope in the galaxy, and some kid can.
Because
grab a broom.
It's gonna be coming from both sides,
when
Mike.
no one
That's my point.
listens,
It's coming from
it's
both-
sort of established that they're kind of on their own and no one is paying attention anymore.
Both
So,
sides will
just
establish
to-
a rumor.
wrapped up this whole casino sequence. Like, I feel like that whole thing was there just so that we could see this kid at the end
With
grab
the
his broom by the
force. Yeah.
I was like,
I gotta
that
do
was
that
like,
one. I
are
can
you?
see that.
That's really why we needed this? Come on.
It was to show that anybody can do
And
it.
everyone's acting like this is the first time like someone else just randomly has the Force, but I mean, midichlorians, man.
They're back. They never left.
It's
So-
Don't call
midichlorian.
the comeback. They've
We
been
have
here
the
for
rebuilding
years.
the rebellion. we have
Well, again, if you actually look at The Force Awakens and take into account what it actually set up, it was a surprise to everybody that Rey was so powerful in the Force. The movie is called The Force Awakens. We have no inclination to believe that, like, outside of like the handful of students that Luke actually picked out to train, like that the Force existed in the universe anymore. So, like, yeah, that is a big deal that there are still Force children out there. Like that's another important part of this movie. That again, the Force belongs to everybody. It's not just the Jedi.
Absolutely.
It's not just the Sith.
So that's the end of the movie. Credits roll. We have a nice tribute to Carrie Fisher in the credits.
Yeah, that was
And
awesome.
so yeah, I mean, overall, I have a lot of gripes with this movie, but I didn't hate it. It's like my fourth favorite movie.
Really, you didn't hate it? I just love
Um,
it so much. I'm passionate about
All
it.
right, now that we're at the
I'm
end,
passionate.
let's
Fuck
talk
the
about
Oscars.
a couple of gripes I had.
Go ahead, Corey.
Movie. I don't think the villains are set up very well. These
Well,
two films.
We don't know we're gonna get in the ninth
It's-
movie.
I'm not talking about the ninth movie. I'm talking about these two films.
You'll either get more of Kylo or some new villain introduced to die right
I
away.
love
so-
Kylo in this movie.
what are you gonna
That
do?
was the best part. But I
Everything
think
is riding on Kylo.
the problem is like they're trying to make this rebel force seems so weak and so like, oh no, we're decimated now. Like we have nobody gonna help us. Oh, the new order is gonna rule the galaxy again. But like, who really cares? Like, what's so bad about that? Like,
Yeah.
we don't see that. Like, we don't see poverty and the despair that the Empire
Horses
brought.
get whipped.
to the galaxy.
Space horses
Like,
get whipped.
People
under
seem
the-
fine. Everywhere you go seems okay. Like every place is
So hold
doing
on.
okay. You got junker places.
I'm not
you got
necessarily
casinos.
disagreeing with you, but I mean, in Force Awakens, the First Order was shown to have built a weapon that took out an entire galaxy.
Yes.
So I mean, I could see that as people being like, yeah, that's a little bad. That kind of bothers me. Like, I don't agree with
Absolutely. And then that was taken care of. And so then, and so now in this movie, why are they so decimated? Like, why are the rebels in the first place? Like, why is this even happening? Like,
Well, it was
that's
established in
I
the
don't-
credit scroll.
I understand. That's what I mean.
Well,
Like,
weren't they just
So that's
established
where
that they're
my
just
gripes
running
are.
away in the credits roll?
So
I don't think that. And my other gripe is with Rey. I don't think Rey really has a villain like the Emperor or Darth Vader that is a force to be reckoned with and someone that you don't know if they can defeat. Like Rey is not lost ever.
Yeah, no, she's always got hope.
She beat
I mean-
Kylo Ren already.
well, hold on. There's an asterisk there. There's an asterisk next to that Kylo defeat. We talked about it. I can remind you.
She was on
if you
steroids?
need to.
Well, Kylo Ren was conflicted because he
Kylo was
killed his
conflicted
father.
emotionally. He was
Sure.
hit by Chewbacca's
I know, that's
bowcaster,
fine.
and he
We can
wasn't
put an
trying to
asterisk.
kill him. He was
Right, we
not
can
trying
put
to
an
kill him.
asterisk there. That's fine.
Right.
I'm just saying, because of that, I don't feel like.
Wait,
when
why
you
was
saw
he
Darth
not trying
Vader,
to kill Rey then?
He was
Why was
trying to get her as his apprentice.
In the
gonna try
first
to-
movie?
Yeah, he
The
said, like, I
first
can
time
train
he did
you.
it.
I can teach you.
Is he just saying that
Oh,
because
why
he's
you
injured at that
realize that's
point?
literally what
No, he wasn't
happens in
injured
the
at
movie,
that
man.
point. That was before he got. That was before everything. He didn't get injured until the very end. That was it. Anyway, I'm just saying I don't feel like there is a villain as threatening or as ominous as like the Emperor or Darth Vader in this new trilogy. Like
I
the
agree.
villains to me just seem.
I'm not
Okay.
disagreeing you, but like, was the Emperor really a threat in Empire Strikes Back?
I mean, I think that there was a looming like a doom or a gloom or like over the galaxy that you felt. Like you don't feel that here, in my opinion. Like
That's
you
fair.
may not have seen it, but like
That's fair.
you felt it.
I just think Kylo's like, I agree. Okay, like Hux, totally agree. He's shit. Like I don't think he's a good villain. He's
Very
cartoon.
cartoon.
Phasma. To me,
Phasma's the
Phasma is
Phoenix.
the Boba Fett of this trilogy. Like everybody
Well, worse
hypes.
Boba Fett because she.
Well, it's like, okay, she has cool armor, like blah blah blah, like merchandise, blah blah blah, and it doesn't do anything. It's like,
Right.
okay, whatever. She's supposedly a badass in the books, but same thing with Boba Fett. So yeah, like Tim and Snoke, you know, could have been a badass. We don't know. He's dead. So yeah,
Exactly.
everything is riding on Kylo on being a good villain in the last movie.
Right, and that's the thing. Is I love his character in this. I think he's great, and I love this decision because I was totally expecting him to be like, okay, let's go save the world together, Ray.
I was. Yeah,
So I really appreciate that I did not do that.
No,
But,
I didn't
we don't
think
know
they
if
were
we're
going to
gonna
do
get him,
that
'cause
once Snoke died because there was no one left.
Well, no, that's what I mean. That's when the turning point was. Like that was the moment that they could have.
But yeah.
But that's what So the villains in this new trilogy they set up just aren't that good right now, and so hopefully Kylo can be that. And we know this is set up for a time jump because that kid's got to be old enough to wield a lightsaber.
Did we have to have that
If
kid?
you don't, like,
You need that kid?
Absolutely, you need that kid.
I think it was more
You
of
need that kid? I think he's just there to show that the Force is out
I
there.
think that was more of a symbol.
I will guarantee you there's at least a 5 to 7 year jump.
Ooh.
I'm not going to disagree with you on this one, but not because of that kid. I don't think he'll be in it.
That's the only reason you would do it.
I will agree with you,
no,
Corey.
hold on.
I will
reason
bet
is that Carrie
I will
Fisher.
bet that kid will
Right,
not be in
Carrie
that
Fisher.
movie.
Okay, fine. And then, so in any case, my other gripe is where are the Knights of Ren?
Yeah, we got them
Yes,
thrown
I
out.
wanted-
another
thrown
thing.
out aspect.
Force
of the
Awakens. What are
See,
we on?
that
Number
is a legitimate
seven? Number 7 that we got rid of?
Yeah.
I just
That
say
is
it's
legit.
because even Luke says he took some of my students with them.
Right.
Like, where are those guys?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Well,
thing. Is like,
maybe
were
they'll
those
show up.
the Red Imperial people? Like, I don't know.
I
don't
thought
know.
maybe they were, but
Right.
they weren't.
I doubt those were them because why would he kill his
Yeah.
friends?
Well, he killed Snoke, and
That's
he wanted
true.
to kill Luke.
That's
I mean,
true, but I don't think
Maybe
they
they're
were.
already.
I mean, I don't think those were the Knights of Ren.
No,
Right,
no,
I don't think so either. But I'm just
Carrying
saying. Like, I thought.
So I
initially-
wanted to know where they are because if they come back and they could be a force to be reckoned with, then that'd make things much better. And
Yeah.
I am
Interesting.
hoping that this next movie is gonna be better because for me, this film made me less interested in where the story is going.
That's exactly how I would describe
I
my
just
feelings
don't
after
care.
this movie.
I just don't care
I
enough
agree.
about the characters anymore.
Because these new characters to me aren't interesting enough to carry
They
it on their
were
own.
until this movie, and when everything question-wise got already finished and closed out.
I mean, I think it's fine. Like, I actually would. If this was the first one, I think it would have been better. Or if this was the last one, okay, that would have been fine too. Like, Kylo Ren, like him making a decision, fine, that's good for me. But like, I don't see the future of these characters be very promising, personally.
Well, we know they're only guaranteed to be in one more movie anyway, since Daisy Ridley only knows she's going to be in one more movie anyway.
That's what she said. Yeah. So, all right. Thoughts, Tony?
I liked it. I think I'm probably definitely the most positive person on this movie. But again, the thing is, I appreciate Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I think it does a lot of good. But I think much like the characters within the universe, like it just got too idealized and too hyped. I mean, ever since I started watching the expanded universe stuff, your suggestion again, like the Clone Wars, all those other Rebels, all that crap.
Yeah, Rebels.
Like
Yeah.
the more I learn about these characters, the more I learn about the Jedi Order. Like I'm just like, wait a second, the Jedi Order are really like the secret villains of this fucking story. Like all this bad shit
There's a bunch
happens
of failures.
because of the fucking Jedi.
Even Ahsoka knew that too. She like,
Right,
got out
exactly.
before that shit
And
went
Ahsoka,
down.
right? And Ahsoka is my favorite character. Like that is my favorite character out
Ahsoka
of
left.
all
Yeah.
the
She
stuff.
knew it
Ahsoka
was
left.
all flawed. Yeah.
Right. So to me, this is what I wanted because fuck the Jedi, fuck them all. Like they were fucking flawed and they were hubris and just they refused to see things like from anything. And the whole thing, again, if you go to the prequels, and I don't know, I wanted to look into if they mentioned the balance of the Force in
multiple
the original
times.
trilogy.
Yeah.
In the original trilogy.
Yep.
Okay. But that's
Yes.
Okay.
I think Kenobi mentions it to him in Empire.
okay. But that's the thing is like you talk about the balance, but then you don't actually ever get it. And this is talking about the balance, and Luke is talking about how the Force belongs to everybody. It's not just
It's
supposed
finally
to be
establishing that balance.
Jedi.
What it is. It is
So-
finally doing that. Yeah.
So I acknowledge a lot of the criticisms of the movie. It's not perfect. It's flawed. On a scale, I'd probably give it like a 7.5. But
So we're on the same scale.
right, but you're angry about it, and
I
I'm not.
know. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. We're
Right.
on the exact same score.
Right,
Wow,
exactly. I can
wow.
acknowledge the flaws of the movie, the
Wow.
shortcomings, the gaps, but not be angry about it. But here's the
Wow.
thing. This was necessary. This was completely necessary to move forward with the Star Wars universe. Because really, like, what else could there be? Like, more like, oh, Sith versus Jedi, shit we've already seen, like, stuff that's just going to keep going on for the end of time. Like, that's boring. I don't care about that. Fuck that.
Finally establishing, well, maybe establishing something.
Well, I mean,
I still think you're going to get that.
I think we will too, Mike, but we'll see. But Mike, what do you think?
Well, I mean, my score would be like 7.75 myself. It's not
We're all on the same score. We're just
much worse. But again, I'm not that interested in this
McCord might be
next
higher,
movie, though.
but
I'm really not that interested in it now because I came back to this. Han Solo was my favorite character going in. I knew he had a good chance of dying in the first, and I'm like, but at least he was featured heavily in that movie. He was like co-starred. Luke was sort of on the back burner in this for most of it. He did something real cool, but that was it. One thing. He did one thing. I loved what he did. I thought it was a great sequence, but he did one thing.
yeah.
And now we know. And that's why, again, I like that scene with Leia, even though it might have looked a little weird. I liked seeing her like do something cool because that's all we're going to get from her now, unfortunately.
That's her last sequences, yeah.
So did they sell me on the new characters? Not too much. Again, all the mystery from the first movie surrounding these new characters is pretty much gone. We know where Kylo Ren lands now. We know his true motivations. All right. We don't know anything about Snoke. It doesn't matter. He's dead. We don't know, or we're told it doesn't matter, or they're nobodies who Rey's parents are, which was a big thing going into this movie. So it's just like, what can happen in this next movie other than, I don't know. I don't know what can happen, but there's no
I might say that's a
anticipation.
good thing, Mike.
I know, but there's no anticipation for me for this next movie
Yeah.
because
No,
it's just
agree.
like everything.
Because you
is
don't have
really
any
wrapped up
expectations.
in-
You can watch the movie without having baggage.
Yeah.
'Cause here's the thing. I'm going to call you guys out. I don't think there's any way that this movie could have gone down. You guys would have been happy about anything. Literally. I don't think it would have.
almost the exact same
If
way.
if
but-
Luke
No.
somehow survived
Yeah.
this movie and there was less
Well, I mean,
casino bullshit,
if the
I would've liked
rules weren't broken for Jim, then you would have liked the
I would
movie.
have liked the movie. Two expectations that were broken.
I just don't understand. Like you thought Luke was going to survive in 9?
I thought
No,
he would,
not
no, I thought he
necessarily.
would get killed in 9. But
the end.
So they killed him in 8. Like, it doesn't mean he can't be around in 9. I don't
I
understand.
know that works.
It's not in a meaningful way though.
No.
Like
You don't know
maybe
that.
it is. Maybe
the
it is,
whole
Mike.
thing
That's the thing.
The
Maybe
whole
it
thing
is.
in this episode he did through the Force.
Yeah.
He didn't actually need to physically be there.
yeah, so he should
And
have
we
just
just
killed
established
himself
that
on an
Yoda
island,
can
like I
do
said.
shit with the
He
Force
should've
lightning
just,
stuff that you
should've
complain
just,
about. Well, if all
jumped
these other
off
people
that
can
cliff.
do it. Like,
Yeah, I
we
know,
have-
but they're not going to do it that way
You
because
don't know
reasons.
that. How can you say that when you
I
don't know
guarantee
that?
you, he's not going to
Uh-oh.
be an active character in this next movie. They
we'll see.
specifically killed him off so that he's not going to be in the way of these new characters. Ryan Johnson even said that. So they're just pushing them aside on purpose, very artificially. It feels like movie to movie. Don't make me drop this score lower. I might.
All right.
The more I think about it.
no.
Corey, what would your score be?
Probably in the 6.5 area.
You're lower
but
than all of us. I give it a 7.5.
But he's
yeah,
not angry.
But Corey, I would agree with you on the first viewing. On 6.5. I would say 6.5.
I mean, like I said, like this is my first. I'm just going based off of my
Yeah.
initial
I would have been at
impressions.
6.5 on my first viewing.
The thing is, I think, just like talking about this movie and this like remembering the scene sequences and things like that. I think it's the best shot. Like I've been saying, best shot, best action, very well directed film as far as most of it, except for the big sequence in the casino.
The only
I
thing
think
I
that
would say
they
is
did a
that
great job with that.
Yeah.
And as far as Star Wars movies go, looking back at them, I think this will hold up just as well going back to it as like Empire and New Hope do. Whereas you go back to any other of the films, they don't hold up at all.
That might be. There's no
So like
question.
I'm wondering how I'd feel about this like in like a year and watching it again, because I have no desire to see Force Awakens again.
Yeah,
I think
do.
that movie
I like
is-
that movie, but yeah,
Um,
I've watched it many times. But all right, well, that's gonna wrap up the spoiler cast. I think. Thanks for tuning in.
You want to give us your ranking, Jim, of all your films?
I said, yeah, we already said that many times. So I give my official ranking of Empire, A New Hope, The Force Awakens, this movie, Return of the Jedi, and then Rogue One.
Guys are so
and
low
then
on
the
Return
prequels.
of the Jedi.
See, Jim, I probably agree with you on those rankings.
Yeah, we're actually the same score.
But again, I'm not
So
angry.
We're
I'm
actually
not
the same
angry at
score. We are the same score, 7.5 out
I'm
of
not
10.
angry about it.
So
It's
anyways,
expectations, man.
Yeah, it is.
Expectations.
It is. I was ready for a 9. I gave it 7.5. That's what it was. So
I really am genuinely interested in when episode 9 comes out.
I wonder if they could.
And we
this movie.
finally wrap the new trilogy up. I definitely am interested in hearing your guys' thoughts on this movie after you see episode 9. Because
I don't know if I even want to watch episode.
Okay,
but
that's fine, man. That's fine.
Tony, I think it could be enhanced. I think
right.
The whole
that's what I'm saying. Like my personal thing is like I think it's setting up episode 9 to be just completely like its own thing and setting up a new universe for the next trilogy and like the next decade of Star Wars in our life. Like, you know.
Yeah, I could see that, but like I didn't want that from this
right
story.
I understand. I understand.
Just like because this is supposed to be episode 8 of a 9 episode series or whatever you want to call it. Let those new other things be new other things by themselves.
Yeah,
I don't
Rian
need
Johnson
these
doing
movies
these next
to set
three,
that up.
like his own 3 trilogy. I like it.
I disagree.
Like,
I think
so you need something to set up Han Solo. Like you don't need that. You don't need a movie here to say, hey, we're gonna set up a character in this other thing.
No,
because it's already been done. Like we don't need that. I don't want this story to end to set up the next thing because that's not what this was supposed to be. That's not what I wanted.
I feel like if we had just like if Force Awakens and Last Jedi didn't exist and we just started this new trilogy in the distant future, like totally deassociated from any of the past characters, people would riot. Because just based on the reactions you guys are having and some people on the internet.
I think I said this in the Discord. Like, knowing what I know now, I would rather have not had these films and done movies based on completely different characters.
Right, but here's the thing. We're setting up the universe for the next generation. Not just in the universe of Star Wars, but the
Disney
real
wants
world.
That cash cow to continue.
You've had your Star Wars. You've had your 6 episodes.
All right.
No, but that's the problem. We're getting more of
this is for
story.
your kids, man. This is for your kids.
I don't want this to be for my kids.
For him right now. But all right.
Sorry, I loved how you said that.
All right.
This is my Star Wars, damn it.
All right, so that's going to wrap up the spoiler cast. Tune into the regular movie cast coming up, the games cast. We have all of this coming up. If you haven't seen those, they're going to be online. They're going to be on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tune into subscribe to our iTunes as well. Thanks for tuning in. Write us podcast at allyoucangeek.net and follow us on Twitter, allyoucangeek as well. And thanks. Oh, there's BB-8. All right.
Secret best character.